Hello and welcome to the 5th round of the World Supertech Series Season 2, and we are live from Jacarepagua Oval, which of course is a different sort of format of track from what we've used throughout the duration of the season. The format will remain exactly the same, however, 2 times roughly 30-minute races. We've actually got 27 laps and the lap times are around 51 seconds, so it should run a little bit shorter. And once again, I'm joined by co-commentators Liam Jenkins.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody.
And of course, brother Ben Davis.
Hello everyone, delighted to be here.
So Liam, I mean, it's a completely different kettle of fish running on an oval, obviously, and we've got a few sort of battles at the front of the field. The most notable absence, of course, Ivar Calamies.
Yeah, absolutely. Ivar apparently has no wheel for tonight's race, so I think this is going to be a big factor. And these midfield guys who want to establish themselves, as we said before, as title contenders, guys coming up, like Jesper Tolberg, like Henderson, like Wiesenmüller, now have got the greatest chance they've had all season, because the track is just so different compared to what everyone's used to running. It's an oval. There's only really one preferred line, and it's surely going to be a survival race, so this is really going to separate the men from the boys, and I think Calamies could really start sensing a title race now, as opposed to kind of running away with it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with 30 points per win and Calamies not being here, if Tommy Nilsson gets anything like a double win, he will be right up there with Calamies. In fact, he'll overtake him, as the points will show. He could easily get 147 points here and go into the final race, which is only worth 30 points for one race to bring. It's a 45-minute race it'll be. So it's all to play for now. The championship wasn't so wide open, but now it's been blown right apart, and even Tauborg has a mathematical chance of winning the title if Nilsson fails to score here. So it'll be very interesting out there. And Ben, I mean, you've been watching the times and watching the interesting ways that people have been going around the track. Obviously, you can discount anything under a 51 because those are people sort of perhaps using the walls a little bit too much to their advantage, but there's been some very quick times around here. And how do we think the drafting will work?
Well, drafting, without a doubt, will play a massive key on this oval track, and I think people will end up having sort of pairs with people to work with during the race. Because if you don't have a partner to work with, a teammate, then you might as well give up, because if you can't find a decent toe to stick with, because of course bump drafting is allowed on this oval. Obviously within reason. If you cause an incident with bump draft, there will be severe penalties. But you are allowed to bump draft, which we will see a massive part played by that, and also the push to pass that will create a big advantage down the straights that we've got here. So yeah, that's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens. And to be honest, I don't think Ivar Calamies, I mean, if he had to pick an event to miss, he certainly would have picked this one. This is the kind of track that can really shake the field up completely. So although Tommy Nilsson might be the second quickest driver on any other track to Calamies, or just as quick as Calamies, and everyone else is slightly slower. I'm probably putting everyone else down a bit here, but yeah, I mean, what I mean is that everyone else can certainly have a good chance of scoring some points that perhaps they wouldn't do at other tracks.
Yeah,
Indeed, I mean, go on, Liam, go on.
I'm just going to quickly relate back to the bump drafting as well, that I think this is going to be a big factor, and if you've got a teammate, then of course it's obviously going to help you. And what would be interesting is, you mentioned the push to pass. If you can actually utilise that, and both teammates who are drafting push it at the same time, it will give you such a big momentum boost going down that straight, and I think you can easily gain maybe 2 to 3 positions, providing you use it right. And I think we're going to see a lot of kind of teamwork today, and perhaps alliances which you wouldn't normally see here in Touring Pro Series, of guys who perhaps don't get on, but wouldn't really consider themselves teammates or anything close to that. And maybe even championship rivals teaming up if it means kind of getting those bigger positions.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen, maybe we'll go through some of the people out there today who are grouping up together. Just want to quickly go through a couple of things before we begin properly. I'm afraid my hamster's running about in its wheel in the background, so there's probably a bit of background noise there. But we just want to start with the Clios, and we've got the Clio Euro Series starting next Wednesday, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be definitely one to watch. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify for that one, but I know there was an absolute fantastic trailer made by, I think, Danny Asbury, so be sure to go and check that out. You can see the calendar of events on your screen now. And this is going to be one of the most competitive leagues that Touring Pro Series has produced. And to say that for Touring Pro Series must mean something, because this alone is one of the most competitive divisions. But the Clio's always produced really close, really fantastic racing. It's not like an opening lap of closeness and then it drifts apart. It's the entire sprint race, if you will, just constant bumper to bumper, trying to find a move. And you're going to see the giants up there, the likes of Callan, the likes of Stoffel Van Dorn, and they're all going to be racing in this series. So I think Scott Woodquist is going to be calling that one, so definitely be worth a watch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Clio has always produced massively close racing anyway, because of the layout of the cars. They're front-wheel drive, relatively easy to drive. So we'll see, people lower down the grid or in other series be able to challenge with the front guys. And also, we've got a huge amount of talent going on in that league. We've got return of people like Stoffel Van Dorn entering the championship. We've got Brian Callan racing. We've got we've got 6 THR drivers racing. Or 8 actually, if they qualify. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge amount of talent going on there. Lot of teams to teamwork will be key, and also it's just close racing anyway. So that certainly will be one to watch.
In WTM, of course, we've got WTM starting towards the end of September, and that should be interesting as well. We've got the return of some classic tracks and some classic action, and not wanting to blow my own trumpet or anything, but I've sort of got to make amends for my championship fail in Season 3, which was kind of spectacular at Bathurst, so see if I can do something about that. And that starts on the 26th of September at Spa, so be sure to join us for that. We'll be doing that, of course, live once again. But back to today, and back to the action out on track. I'm afraid we might occasionally see this little black window popping up. I'm afraid there's not much we can do about that. Kind of a bit stuck for technology today, but we'll hope to bring you as best as we can. Everything else seems to be working okay, just ignore the little black window that pops up occasionally. So anyway, out on track, we've got a few cars sort of working out how they're going to bump draft each other, and we'll just follow on board actually with James Johnson for a lap, because it's quite interesting, this track, how although it is an oval and it is just essentially 2 turns with 2 flat out kinks in between, there's a lot of that is actually quite technical, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, most ovals, if you think to the likes of the super speedways like Daytona, like Talladega, they have huge bankings, whereas this doesn't. Of course, this is not actually a notorious oval. This is a track just simply made into an oval. There is no banking, so you still have to approach the apexes as you would just like a left-hander hairpin, and that can really shake up in terms of buzz drafting and overtaking.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you've got James Johnson here, right in behind. Look at this, train of 4 cars pushing each other along, and you've got Beeson Muller there as well. And they're all pushing each other along. Jack Keithley sort of sitting behind them. And this is the problem. That's the kind of problem with oval driving.
And I think this is going to be quite regular as well during the race. All it takes is one tiny mistake from the guy in front, in that train of 4, and they can all go steering off the racetrack, and races can end just in split seconds. And that's just the thrill of oval racing. A lot of these guys who race predominantly touring cars on the circuits will not be used for this sort of a racing environment, and it can really catch a lot of people out. You saw Kevin Enderman taking a bit of off track, but I think this really is going to separate the men from the boys and see who can kind of take their racing talents onto a different sort of circuit where they're perhaps not at their strongest.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I mean, people might have thought, there's an oval on this calendar that won't really require much practice, but really it is quite technical, as Toby said. You need to pay particular attention to the setup. You need to change camber settings on one side. You need to make it non-symmetrical, because obviously there are no right-hand corners. So yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of practice was required for this, and I'm not sure that everybody has put that in. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that regard today.
So we've got a couple of new guys to go through. One of which is Miguel Lopez, who I'm watching now. He's joined. He hasn't had time to submit a skin, or he hasn't submitted his skin in time, I should say. So, driving a default skin. He's actually joined up with his teammate Sergio Jr. for Ghost Speed. So, we expect those two to come through. Otherwise, we have the return of, let's see if I can find him again, Van der Veld, sorry, but in a different colour livery from before. He was obviously in red before. And finally, we've got Paolo Honorato, who is also in a default livery, who has joined us, so welcome to those guys. Other than that, I think we haven't actually got any other updates. I think NATO Nascimento might have a new helmet. That's about it. So let's just have a quick look at Nascimento's helmet, courtesy of Vitamar, I believe. So a nice sort of purple helmet. And if Callan was here, Ryan Callan, then I'd be showing you his Jack Villeneuve influenced helmet as well. And of course Jack Keithley is back in a new livery as well. You can see him just there in that yellow Precision Motorsport skin. And he said he wasn't going to race this time, but obviously he has changed his mind or has decided that he doesn't want to do as much practice as he needs to for the other leagues. But in any case, he's out on track and he's currently topping the timesheets. He is our Season 1 champion, so he's should be up near the front, and he is at the moment. So you can see that number 1 designating the fact that he's Season 1 champion. So Butcher just behind him on track. Do you think they'll try and team up with their drafting buddies? I mean, do you think they'll team up in pairs, Liam, or do you think they'll sort of throw caution to the wind and see how it goes as Tommy Nilsson slots into 4th and immediately quits back to the pits?
I think it's down to personal preference, but I think you could see, I mean, the most likely perspective is going to be drafting buddies like you see in there, and they won't necessarily be teammates. You're looking at guys who perhaps are around the similar pace to you. Just all you've got to do is look at the timesheets. Jesper Tolberg, a TPS legend, down in 9th at the moment in the practice. You've got massive, names in this series struggling for pace because of this nature of the track. So they're going to need to kind of link with guys who are on similar pace to them. All you've got to do is take a look at Daytona 2 years ago, of course, with Trevor Bayne taking the victory, and he ended up pairing up, I believe, with Jimmy Johnson, I think it was, and it was a really big sort of step, and you could see that today, perhaps Jesper or one of the big names just teaming up with one of these lower-end guys, perhaps guys like Nascimento, like Nuno Silva. They made a very, very big debut last time out. And I think these guys in the midfield could really be on the edge today and facing, run up the big boys. But things like this now, you're seeing a prime of overtaking manoeuvre as Butcher takes a look at the inside of Wiesenmüller. And I think that another point about this track as well is that if you are being drafted, perhaps by a rookie or by a guy you're not really familiar with their racing style, for instance, Tolberg and Callan would have very, very familiarised styles with them. They'll know how each other drive and they respect each other's driving styles, and I think that's a key feature. If you team up with someone who you don't know how they drive the track, who you don't know how fast they are, then you could see now, for instance, a car following you could very easily just mistime the braking point, hit your back end and cause utter chaos. So whilst you could see some unlikely alliances, you've also got to be careful about who you choose to be your drafting buddy.
Without a doubt, and I think this time round we're seeing a lot of drivers on TeamSpeak, which is what allows the drivers to communicate with one another. And because you're probably not as focused so much on the track because it's an oval, you've got along the straights to relax and not have much to do driving wise. We'll see a lot of drivers on TeamSpeak and talking to each other. So there will be communication going on between in the race, and those tactics that they communicate with one another, and they will pick partners through that. So that's also a point to say.
You can see Kenneth Yeoman here, he's just sort of picked up the slipstream of Gen Biss, and I doubt those two are working together because their times are sort of a mile apart. I mean, Biss is down in 25th position, although he is going quicker as a result of this double draft he's got. I see now Biss has lost the back end, but I think some drivers are picking up sort of random slipstreams and others are using other people. I mean, Keithley and Butcher working together. Butcher was just working with Wiesenmüller, so it's kind of, I think it'll be about who gets a gap, and of course the push to pass will be interesting, Liam.
Yeah, it absolutely will, and as you say, there's only a limited number of them as well. It's got to be quite strategical, if not more strategical, when it comes to an oval. As you take a look at Butcher having a very nice view of Jack Keithley's yellow Precision livery. But another idea as well is that you may practice for an entire week with your teammates. So for instance, the two THR green drivers of Tolberg and Wiesenmüller may have done an entire week's practice together, bump drafting, learning the lines, learning the braking points. But that could be so irrelevant here because they might not be anywhere near each other on the grid and they would struggle to find each other during the race. I don't think there are any pace cars, so if they crash, it's going to have to slowly navigate your way around and use driver instincts. And I think that if Wiesenmüller perhaps starts a bit further back than Tolberg, or you start further back than your drafting partner, then it can really shake things up as well because you've based your entire week's practice on that person.
Yeah, I agree. You can't really afford to just rely on one other person as your partner. Really, you have to try and work with them, yes, but when the racing starts, anything can happen, and you may end up, as you say, completely the other side of the grid. Just a quick thing to say on bump drafting. At this oval, it's not just two quick corners and then very long straights. The corners are very long and sweeping, so people have got to be very careful to know when to bump the person ahead, because if they do it when they're coming out of the corner or just about to enter the corner, we could see some incidents. So people have got to be very careful, because they will certainly be penalised heavily for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. As I said, in the league regulations, bump drafting is allowed. We've always allowed it in oval events only, but anyone causing an incident as a result of bump drafting will be penalised heavier than usual. So it's one of those. I mean, you can take the risk and bump draft it. It's definitely quicker. There's no doubt about that. But cause an incident, especially as Ben was saying, on the exit of a corner or whatever, if you're deemed to be at fault, it's going to be worth, it might even be worth sort of 8 to 10 points, something like that. Whereas normally it'd be a 4-point penalty. So be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, drivers have got to be careful because, of course, racing on an oval, the likelihood of contact is going to be ever increased by such a large amount as well. And especially in qualifying, this could be very key because not only are you going to be close together, and we've seen here in the past as well, especially in the actual series, the World Supertech Series, that track time, indeed, and actually trying to find the right track space to set a decent hot lap can be quite crucial in trying to find one. But now, being on an oval, it's going to be shocking. No matter what way you look at it, no matter how late you leave it, there's always going to be someone else on the track who's directly in front or behind you.
Indeed, the delay on the screen is because we're just waiting for the session to skip to qualifying. Occasionally, Game Stock Car decides to take forever to move sessions, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. So as soon as it does move through, then we'll be able to resume qualifying. I don't click any buttons or press anything because it will say Game Stock Car stop working, which that is not what you want to see, because then you have to reload the game and type the password in again, and it just takes forever. So bear with us. Now there we go. It's going to say keine Rückmeldung, which if you know what that means, it means not responding. So we'll wait for that message to appear in the middle of the Game Stock Car screen. And we'll have to... maybe it's going to work. Who knows? There we go. There we go. Lots of pretty cars appeared, and we're going to go into qualifying now as Jack Keithley's car for some reason shoots up into the air.
We're taking an aerial view of the track before the session, but I mean, you see all the cars lined up. All these cars are going to be trying to fight for track position, and I think more than ever, track position is going to be key. I think that no matter how late you leave it, how early you go out, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with traffic, and you've got to be prepared to navigate your way around a spun car, or navigate your way around perhaps some traffic on track who's not aware of you. And that's going to be a big factor in this session, and it could really catch a lot of the big guys out, like Jack Keithley, like Tommy Nilsson. I think we could really see a rise of the young guns, if you will.
Indeed, I'm still struggling to see. There are no cars going out, so it makes me wonder if anyone's actually spawned into the game. Let's bear with me a second. It looks like I'm going to have to do some work to discover whether we can actually go out on track or not.
Yeah, there's just a bit of a delay going on. I think people aren't in fact in the game now. Yeah, hopefully Toby can sort that out. He's sorted everything out so far this evening, because it hasn't been a very peaceful evening. But yeah, I mean, people are, in terms of setup, I was saying they have to be unsymmetrical with their sort of suspension, tyre pressures, and camber settings and things like that. They will have to pay close attention to that. But also, and notably, they will obviously reduce their downforce. So they'll be running with obviously they'll be running with rear wing, but at its skinniest angle. So they will have to be careful, particularly with this bump drafting. If they get bumped into a corner, they're going to have a lot less rear grip than they're used to, and this will affect them as they try and correct slides and things. So the car will feel completely different to it normally will. So I mean, practice is certainly key here, and we've seen, I think even Navarro and James Johnson are the two people who have done the most laps. And if you can go on to TouringProSeries.com and then click on live timing. You'll see all the live timing and sector times and everything up there, and how much practice people have done. So I think people perhaps are underestimating this track. What do you think, Dave?
Well, it's definitely going to be a possibility, I think, as well. I mean, just take a look, I mean, the pit entrance as well. A lot of people have underestimated that, I think. During the race, if you take damage early on, you pit in, you're going to come out in front of hordes and hordes of flying stock cars streaming past you. It's not like normal Formula 1 maps, you can just rejoin straight away. You've got to wait for them all to pass and join the end of the longest line. And I think now what we're going to see is bump drafting qualifying. And this is going to really kind of push guys up forward, and I think the guys a bit further down the field, if you will, like Sergio Jr., like Ray Lilly in 13th, they're going to try and use this to an advantage, because normally in real NASCAR, you don't have more than one car on track at a time in qualifying, but this is going to really shake things up in so many more ways, because you're going to have to A, find a draft-in buddy, B, avoid traffic, C, be wary of, you know, the other hazards on track, such as the pit exits, pit entrances, cars slowing down. If you're bump drafting a car who you don't have any communications with, and then dives into the pit lane without you knowing, you're just going to end in a unfortunate mess. And I think that, again, as you said, a lot of drivers underestimate just how much preparation and strategy goes into oval racing. A lot of them think, okay, just drive in a circle for 25 minutes, job done. But it's so much more than that, and we're seeing a fine example of that now as we wait for the time to start coming in, and it's going to be interesting to see who goes faster out of Tommy Nelson or Damian Henderson. Butcher's done a fastest first sector time as the times come flooding in thick and fast. They're ready to come across the line now, and Henderson actually does a bit better. Of course, he's in the draft, so it seems that pushing seems to be the way forward to get the quicker lap times, judging from that. So we'll have to see what happens. And now, again, that's going to be key. You can overshoot your mark into turn one. We've just seen that twice there. I think Kenneth Yerman did the same, because you're just following a car, expecting them to brake, and you've got to slow your car down knowing that you'll be faster, and that just doesn't occur to you. It's not like your kind of road racing scenarios, and again, this is going to catch a lot of people out. So once again, that time's going to flick and fire. Look at that, back at the top of the time sheet, Jesper Tolberg on a 51.445, pushing Chris Butcher, who's not that far away, 0.003 of a second separate those two, so barely anything in it. We already said this series was close. On an oval track, you may as well just string them all together, as the purple time just flooding in from everywhere, Ben.
Yeah, I think we're seeing, I'm just looking at the Chris Butcher, James Johnson, all those lines. I think Jack Keithley has joined sort of the THR crew. I mean, he was talking with them in TeamSpeak before the race, so I think Jack Keithley is working with the THR guys, and that's why we're seeing Jesper Tolborg and Chris Butcher doing quick lap times, because they're all running together, pushing each other. So I think that's what's going on there.
Yeah, it looks like they're working together indeed. Chris Butcher is on a good lap, but he's not quite in that push to... Oh, he still goes quicker by 0.3. Look at that, 50.9. Now, I know for a fact that running by yourself, you can do a 51.5, and that's the best, without a push to pass or a bump draft or anything like that. So, a 50.9, that's a very quick time indeed from Butcher, and he's obviously using that double slipstream in front of him to good advantage. And look at this from the guys in front of him. Both gone purple, and Butcher is sneaking up to the back of Keithley and Johnson as well, so this will be interesting. Is he going to give them a nudge? Yes, he does. This is incredibly close, isn't it? This will be interesting in the race. I'm most looking forward to that. Butcher, 4/10 up. This is going to be Butcher on pole if he selects the right person to push through.
Now, the thing is, he came about at the toe, now that may cost him some time, so he may have been a bit too hot on the brakes, so we'll have to see. He would have lost a bit of time to keep these, trying to push on now. We've also seen the other THR. Let's see what Butcher can do. It's a 50.7, 0.3 quicker than Jack Keithley in second. That is an absolute blistering time. And he dives straight up the inside of two of them, carrying that much more extra speed. Careful not to hit the wall. We're almost 3 wide there. And wow, just absolutely amazing. And that just shows you the advantage of what pushing can do if you get the job done right.
Indeed, they've all gone back to the pit lane now, so that does signify that they probably are working together. Butcher, Talborg, Henderson, sorry, not Henderson, Keithley and Johnson, and just the times for, you know, speak volumes really. Henderson and Nielsen are pairing up, but they're not in a 4-car tray, which obviously appears to be the quicker way, because Henderson and Nielsen, although they set very quick times in their own right, they're nowhere near Butcher's time. So Butcher, Keithley, Johnson, Talborg, that could be an interesting 4-way draft that they've got going on there. These two just pushing each other around, and that's it. So interesting to see exactly what happens in the next few laps. We've got 5 minutes. We've just gone through halfway in this session. Let's have a look back through some of the field. We've got Sergio Jr. in 7th. That's a great lap time for him. Obviously got a bump drafting partner from somewhere. Sene up in 8th as well. Marlon Lintz is in 9th position. Nuno Silva is in the pit lane but 10th. So Nuno Silva, after a pretty good debut, is now in 10th position on the oval. So it's very tough to use any sort of road racing skills on the oval. As Ernie Draska is coming sliding down from the top of the banking, and I say banking, it's about 0.5 degrees here, but still there is a tiny bit. They only did one actual IndyCar race here. It was a kart race before the track wasn't used again, so kind of built for the future of IndyCar, future of karts, and they used it once, so a bit of a shame for them. But it's going to provide great racing in the WSS. So let's have a quick look back through the field. We've got Kenneth Yerman down in 16th. He was doing faster times than that in practice. Perhaps just hasn't linked up with the draft partner properly yet, so we'll see him jump through the times. Let's just scroll through at the bottom of the page. Nato Nascimento hasn't got out of the pit lane. I did get a message from Alexander Serne saying that he had some a family issue he had to sort out, but he will be back hopefully for the start of race 1. So Nascimento from the back of the field. What do we think?
Well, it's going to be definitely an underdog, that's for sure. We've seen what this man can do in qualifying and races in the past, so we'll just have to see. But right now, I think that the main question on everyone's lips is, can anyone top Chris Butcher's time? And he's almost a second down on that best there, but he's being closed on by this train now. Similar at the tail end of it, Keithley at the front, and I believe that could be the other THR. Yes, it is. So this is going to be extremely interesting now, because if they do manage to catch Chris Butcher, which is extremely likely, it's going to be perhaps Wiesemuller who will get the bigger draft, and we could see a very big potential jump for Robert Wiesemuller, bit of paint trading there, if you will, to come onto the main straight. And let's see what happens here then as they thread through. But it's a very technical circuit, this, you know, for being an oval as well. And look at that, it's already just put 9,000ths of a second off of pole position in that draft of Butcher. Now, of course, he's right in the middle, so getting both the air, being pushed and pushing as well. So he's getting the best of both worlds at the moment. Here is Jack Keithley. This train only hotting up, gone in a bit deep there into turn 3. And he's lost that momentum that he did gain. He's now side by side, a bit of a cheeky nudge there, I think. But across the line, let's see what he can do. It's going to be a very interesting time to say the least. You're looking for around a 51. Will it be a 50? No, it's not. It's a 51. And it's not enough just yet. And Keithley starts away. He knows that that's not what he wanted. There's a few of the cars dive into the pit lane there. And we've only 2 minutes to go. I think it's going to be very hard to beat Chris Butcher's time, because that was just everything strung together perfectly.
Yep, I agree. And Tommy Nilsson's spinning down the track as well. I don't think he's going to improve. He's just got time. He's got time to get out, but he hasn't got time to pick a drafting partner. Let's have a look. Marlon Lintz is going quicker than he ever has done before. This might move him up the field. He was obviously drafting with Sene there, but I think he's lost his drafting partner now, so this will hold him back big time. So we won't see him improve. Nuno Silva is not improving. Kevin Enderman is. Let's see Enderman as he comes across the line. Was with, that looks like Vinicius Ferreira, who's lost his front clip, so not quite sure what's happened there. Yerman, look at this with Henderson. This could take Yerman up the field, actually, because Henderson has proved to work quite effectively with Nilsson, and obviously now they can't really be choosy about their draft partners, and they've just got to sort of pick up whatever they've got and hope that they can run together. Yerman has to improve from 15th on the grid, sorry, and he was going quicker just in the first sector there than he has ever done before, but he needs to be pushing Henderson round now. Not really, he wasn't really in the slipstream there, Liam.
No, and I think maybe he's just trying to perhaps get some Pino into the engine or look for an overtaking maneuver, trying to find the best way to overtake round here. But you've hit on a very good point now with it. It's almost like you get what you're given, and a good important thing now for these drivers is if they're not paired up in some race, I mean, it's very unlikely that you're going to be paired up with the driver you practice with. So you've got to be happy with what you're given and willing to work together. Even if you dislike the driver, you've got to push together, find the kind of thing in the middle, and just push on, use those driving skills. Like we see now, Wiesemuller perhaps, he's might have no intention of teaming up with a THR, but he may have to join the race. He gets very sideways, almost drifting it round there. But he's getting, see, and this is just prime what we can see. You make a mistake, you lose so many positions. But you may not like THR, the other THR drivers, because he is THR green, but you may have to make do with it, and you would have to try and find some sort of thing in the middle, push round together, and it's the drivers who are willing to work with others who they're not used to who are going to get the best of this race, I think.
You can still see these THR drivers with Keithley ganging up together, and sort of, obviously Keithley in the Precision Motorsports car, but Davilar is driving a sort of THR Precision amalgam in the V8, so it's not completely out of the question that he's decided to team up with them. and they're all sort of jockeying for position, aren't they? And Beeson is the only one that isn't in their group. Although Wiesenmuller, oh, he cleans up the back of Keithley. That's qualifying over for Wiesenmuller, I think. He's not going to improve from there. Well, actually, he might do, you know. He's still got the double slipstream. He's actually cleaned up Keithley. So Keithley is probably going to be on the front row here. Kennedy Yeoman is improving as well. We'll follow Wiesenmuller to the line. So can Wiesenmuller get himself up the grid? Yes, he can. Look at that third position. So Wiesenmuller does get himself up the field. Let's see what Kennedy Yeoman can do. No, he's quit back to the garage. So no improvement for Yeoman. But look at that train of 5 cars with Wiesenmuller tagging onto the back of them have qualified in the top 5 positions. Then it's Henderson and Nielsen. And Nielsen is the only person, really, who can take the championship off Ivar Kalamies, apart from Talborg. And Talborg is just in front of him, and Talborg needs 2 wins and Nielsen to double fail. And I don't think that's going to happen. But interesting qualifying, Ben. I mean, runs through the qualifying positions.
Yeah, very interesting indeed, and I think it shows that not just having a partner is required. You need a whole team really, and the times show that very well indeed. We've got Chris Butcher, Jack Keithley, who was working with the THR guys in that qualifying session. Robert Roosemuller in 3rd. James Johnson again a strong show, but he's just part of that train. Jesper Tolborg, and I think just a quick word about the race. If they do these tactics in the race and they sort of get away from everyone, I wonder what tactics they'll play in terms of letting Jesper through. I mean, will they go through? Will he let him through? Because he's still got a mathematical chance at the title. So that's something to think about. Henderson and Nielsen working together for 6th and 7th place. Sergio Jr., very impressive result for him. Senna in for THR Purple. Not going purple this time round, but he's in 9th. Manuel Lintz, again, a good performance from him to make the top 10. Nuno Silva next, probably just picking up toes from other people. David Junt, he'll perhaps be a little disappointed with that, but like I said, anything can happen on this oval. Miguel Lopez doing well in 13th. Kevin Enderman, Kenneth Yeoman, perhaps on a better lap, but he just couldn't get the work done. Tamas Fott in 16th. Dino Paolini in 17th. Even Navarro, 18th. Very good result for him. Paolo Honorato, sorry, my pronunciation is shocking. Ray Lilly in 20th, obviously working together with his teammate. Oh, sorry, no, he's not his teammate anymore. Apologies to Ray, because he's also in that lovely Duracell livery. Andy van der Velde, 21st. 22nd, Jonathan Ockerglint. 23rd, Davy van der Ven. 24th, Vinicius Ferreira, who had a good strong showing last time out. 25th, Ernie Draskey. 26th, Glenn Cabis. 27th, Mike Bell. 28th, Nathan Nascimento, obviously never got out of the pit lane. Hopefully he makes it back in time for the race, but we'll have to see on that one. And JJ Wang also, who obviously didn't set a time.
Yeah, so an interesting mix of people, and we'll see what happens at the front of the field. Of course, Nielsen and Henderson are in prime position to get together and work together as a team. But coming through the first lap, I can imagine it's going to be a right nightmare, actually, Liam, especially battling for track position at the front. And there is the potential for a restart here. I can imagine there is the potential for that, but we try and avoid restarts as much as we can. We sort of almost ban them, actually, in the Touring Pro Series, and people just sort of have to deal with what they get.
Yeah, I think this is going to, we've seen here in France in the World Supertech Series that the actual starts themselves can be quite chaotic, providing that, you know, one driver misjudges the actual green signal. But in ovals, this is how all oval races start. You go round on a pace lap, and as soon as you hit the green flag, you nail the throttle and go as fast as you can. And that's pretty much its format for the rest of the race. But obviously, this may be more or less likely to happen depending on who's more aware. I think it all comes down to driver awareness. And I think that even if we do get a clean start, there's going to be inevitable contact through the race. We've seen this even in the practice sessions, that contact is going to happen whether the drivers like it or not, and I'm sure that a lot of these guys will be prepared for it, how to react, how to dive to the pit lane and get to the lower side of the track safely, because if you crash up high, you want to stay there. If you start trying to move down the track in order to get to the pits quickly, you're just going to cut across people, perhaps even the leaders, start interfering with their race, maybe even take them out, and it's only going to cause more chaos and more work for the race stewards at the end. So if they crash, they're going to have to stay high, have some respect for the other drivers around them, and then just try and navigate their way slowly to the pit lane. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think this one's going to all be patience. You can't go into that first lap dive bombing through the middle, trying to get to your draft partner. What you have to do is get what you're given, like you said, just keep calm, do your job, just draft for as long as you can, and work together. That's going to be the key here to a successful race.
It certainly is. It's interesting that Ray Lilly, who, by the way, that Duracell livery is rapidly becoming my favourite livery in the entire field. I really do like it. It's interesting to see that he was drafting Navarro there, so there's obviously no love lost between those two pals since Lilly left THR. I think it's more to do with, probably more to do with myself, to be honest with you. And yeah, he's obviously drafting Navarro. He actually is doing a good job in practice. 9th position is pretty good, so in warm-ups, excuse me. So it'd be interesting to see what Ray Lilly can do. I tip him for a sort of surprise shot because he puts in a lot of effort in, and we'll see where he gets up the field. So potential top 10 candidate for Ray Lilly, and it'd be unusual to see him in that top 10, and it'd be nice if we did. Just have a further look through. Senna's up in 3rd. It doesn't really mean anything, the warm-up times, but of course race in just 30 seconds, and obviously people just perfecting their lines push to pass will obviously make a huge difference, and I think it'll be interesting to see whether people mess it up the first time they actually use it.
Yeah, absolutely, and with 20 seconds as well left in this warm-up session, it's going to be start to just make those last-second preparations, quite literally. We saw also a little bit of contact earlier on, but I think this one, if there's going to be a race in the World Supertech Series which is unpredictable, and perhaps someone from the lower end of the field you wouldn't normally see there up in the top 10 is going to take a victory, this is going to be the race, because just about anything can happen here, and I'm sure just about anything will happen. So we get ready to get a green flag. We're just going to quickly lead around a pace lap. But I'm sure we've got a lot of excitement around this race, and the tensions will be running higher than they've ever been, I think, here in the World Supertech Series.
Yeah, indeed, they have. Yeah, I agree with that, definitely, indeed. But just a quick word about the start that's approaching now. Hopefully, we will see a clean start this time round. It was pretty good last time out. I forgot the name of the track where we were, but yeah, it was pretty good there. But on this oval, where it's very, very, very wide, not technical last couple of corners for the whole pack to wind their way through. So hopefully we should see a clean start here, and have some astounding races. I'm really looking forward to this race, Liam.
Yeah, as am I. It's definitely going to be one
2 seconds,
to remember.
2 seconds, guys. Half the field is just disconnected handily. There is actually no great solution to this unless I can bear with me, guys.
Yeah, it's typical. These things are happening now. We had trouble with the getting the broadcast server working earlier, but that was readily dealt with by Ryan's hard work yet again in TPS, and also Toby as well, trying to get it working. I'm not quite sure what's happening now. It's certainly not behaving itself in the way we would like it to, but hopefully Toby's just trying to reset everything to try and get everyone back in the game.
Okay, this is one of those instances where I genuinely hate games, and I'm afraid that everyone, half the field just sort of randomly lost connection, and you'll have to bear with me just a little bit, guys. I'm just going to try and work out why that was the case, and hopefully we can get everyone back in the game. For now, we'll just quickly watch the video that Ryan Cullen kindly made for us, if I can bring up the right screen, and whilst that's happening, then we'll wait to endeavour to see whether we can get the race underway. Okay, guys, so I think we've pretty much got everyone back, and by pretty much, I have no idea whether that's actually true or not. We will endeavour to see whether we actually do, and just bear with me 2 seconds. I will just attempt to count the number of people that have just rejoined and who actually left. So, Ben, tips for the race.
Well, I have to say it's impossible to call, but it looks as if THR have got their teamwork sorted at the front of the field. That was an outstanding performance in qualifying. I'm not quite sure how Chris Butcher managed that time, but he was obviously just in the right slipstream at the right time. But if they can get their teamwork sorted and avoid any incidents when they're bump drafting, and they're clever with their push to passes, I think they'll be fairly difficult to beat. I mean, Tommy Nielsen has got a partner, but he's only got one partner, and THR have got a number of drivers in this field to work with during the race. So, I mean, perhaps Tommy Nielsen may struggle. I don't know. He might be able to get on the back of THR. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with this, and also the push to pass, which of course they couldn't use in qualifying. That now comes into the race. So again, people who've done their practice offline on a race simulation those are the only people who'll be able to see how the push to pass works. So I mean, what do you think, Liam? I certainly can't predict a winner from this.
Well, it's going to be very hard to call, but I think one very interesting man to watch will be Jack Keithley. Now, he starts right in between a THR sandwich, THR green being Robert Wiesemuller, and I think that he's going to, of course, he's a kind of lone wolf at the moment out there at the front, and with Wiesemuller and Tolberg starting right behind each other, that's a dream start for them, but Keithley is going to be sandwiched right in front of the contenders around him, so he's going to be have to be careful about how he approaches this, because whilst all's well and fair in love and war, it's going to be interesting because, you know, at the end of the day, they're still contenders, and if Tolberg and Wiesemuller can try and navigate their way past Keithley, the sooner the better, because then you won't have to worry about it later, of course. But I think also pit stops could be a strategy here, because even if it's not race strategy, I think that even light damage can really affect your downforce, and even if it's a bit of wing damage, you can lose a good 5 miles per hour in these cars, so going to have to see that as we wait for the clock to hit 0, and we should be able to go racing.
Hopefully be able to go racing. Yes, there's a bit of confusion because obviously everyone left just randomly, because that's how games often work and cock things up for everyone. But now they've all rejoined. I'm not sure whether they're in their correct grid slots or not. But I think we're going to give it a go and see what happens. And if not, there may be a possibility of having to repeat qualifying. But hopefully that won't happen. But yeah, it looks as if we're good to go racing, be it now or in a few minutes' time. Let's hopefully everyone joins the grid in the right grid slot. Toby, how's it looking?
Don't know, I've just asked if it's messed up. We'll find out if it is now.
A very technical question.
Yes it is messed up. Excellent news! Right, okay, here's how it's going to work. Ben and Liam are going to talk, and I'm going to tell everyone what to do.
Wonderful, excellent.
I think you should tell them.
Sorry, go on, Liam.
I was going to say, I think you should tell them all to drive as they will, backwards, forwards, whatever kind of mood they're in, and see who comes out on top. Let's turn this into a demolition derby for the first race until we get sorted.
I'm sure they'd be all up for that, but I think Toby perhaps doesn't want that to happen. So I think they're probably going to restart qualifying. Not too sure. Either that, or they're trying to sort it out between themselves. Hopefully there are no arguments over who was where in qualifying, but if there is, then I'm sure there'll be a restart. So, but yeah, I think they're trying to sort it out. I'm just going to take this opportunity to mention the. Oh, sorry, I'm now holding down the wrong button. Give me one sec. To mention the virtual mini series. Indeed, the virtual mini challenge, which starts in a few weeks time. This is a new mod to TPS. It's the minis in the same game as this, the game stock car. And it takes place at similar tracks to what's happened here. Lots of Brazilian tracks. We've got Curitiba, Sebring, obviously in America. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, they're fairly similar cars to drive with. I had a go in one this morning to the Clios. Perhaps just a bit more. You can feel them a bit more through the steering wheel. I think their drivers probably prefer to drive them. They're slightly harder to drive, probably. Require a lot of patience on the throttle. But anyway, I mean, that's another. Going to be another series that's going to be fascinating to watch. If it's the closest of racing is anything like the Clios, it'll be absolutely fascinating. So hopefully a good grid turns up for that, and I think we've got quite a few sign-ups going on. So yeah, I mean that's another championship that could certainly be a new championship to TPS that could be one of the best. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got all the makings of a legendary league, and I think that it's going to be right up there with the clears, as you said. These slower cars, these kind of small, sporty hatchbacks, if you will, tend to throw up a lot more competitive racing than the big monstrous V8s a lot of the time. As we do get on the grid, I'm not sure if we are getting ready to go racing or if they're in the right grid positions, because I'm pretty sure Visa Mula was not down that order. So
Right,
if we are going racing in that order, I think that's going to maybe annoy a lot of people.
Yeah, basically they're going to sort their order out now by calling out where they were on the grid and then going slowly round to the back straight and parking, if that makes sense.
Well,
So
I think that's the most sensible thing to do.
that's how I'm resolving it. Chris hopefully is going to stop now. Let's hope he is. Hopefully everyone's got enough fuel. That's the only thing. It will take obviously an extra bit of time.
That shouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't have thought, because they're not. The engine's only ticking over, and the laps are certainly still going to be the same. So that shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully, I hope Toby's wrong on that one. He has been wrong in the past. So hopefully, yes. I mean, this is this kind of situation which is certainly not desired by anyone. But it's now down to the drivers to be patient and to be intelligent and clever, and use a bit of common sense in sorting themselves out. And I think Toby's doing a good job in giving them instructions, and it looks to be working so far. No disputes yet over who's ahead of who. Hopefully everyone behaves themselves, and because there's no real way of checking the qualifying results, which is quite annoying because it failed at the end of that quali session. So hopefully everyone will sort themselves out.
Let's have to see as Phil try and line themselves up. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, hopefully we don't see anyone being cheeky and saying I qualified 4th when they really qualified 29th. But I'm sure that we won't see any of that. I think this is probably the best idea to solve this problem. And I think obviously the last minute ideas seem to work out the best. And I think it's really a fine example of it. It's great to see that the drivers have, respect for each other, respect for Toby as a kind of race control, and know the scenario that is a last minute thing. No one expected this to happen, and yet they've all taken to it in a very professional manner, and it's great to see drivers organise themselves just as they are.
Indeed, we're trying as hard as we can to get it all organised. It doesn't look very professional this time. I'm afraid it is the best solution rather than having to go through qualifying again, because that would be another 10 minutes wasted. I think this will take maximum 3 or 4 minutes now.
No, indeed. You say it's not very professional, but I mean this is just something that nobody could possibly avoid. We've had problems with the server and the game all afternoon, and it's come back to bite us again for a very inexplicable reason. It's just one of those things that happens. Hopefully, everyone understands that, and it seems that the drivers also understand that, and they're just trying to chivvy everyone along a bit. I'm not quite sure what the hold-up is. I think people have forgotten where they're qualifying. Which isn't ideal, but yeah, I mean, once we get this sorted, they'll just have one formation lap, so that's effectively a lap and a half formation lap, because they're obviously on the back straight now, and then we'll be array racing. And as I said, I certainly hope for a clean start, which we haven't always seen this season. And yeah, again, I'm still eagerly awaiting the start of this race, because I think it could be one of the best races, these two races that we see, certainly in terms of closeness of racing, and also different people at the front.
Indeed, we're still waiting for people to line up. Hopefully they are in control of what they're doing. There's only a few more people now to line up, so we're nearly there. We're nearly there, people. Nearly racing. This is actually killing me. Okay, if anyone's caught on the grid, I think we're going to have to just leave them there. Actually, I think everyone has moved off the grid. How incredibly amazing. Right, okay. I'm going to have to do some more typing, Ben.
Okay, you go ahead. Hopefully we're not, as you said, leaving anyone on the grid like we did see last time round with Adrian McNaughton, but luckily that didn't cause any collisions in the end. I think everyone's lined up, or about to be, within the next few seconds. So Yep, they'll start their 1 and a bit warm-up laps.
Yeah, so I think that's whilst it wasn't a very professional sort of solution, I think it was a very professional idea by Toby, and I think all the drivers acted also very professionally, because they had to, as we say, act on a last-minute thing. No one could have predicted this, as we said, and for them to just do this, almost like it was planned, just to come out and get themselves in the right order, it's just, I think it's very respectable of all the drivers. It shows they all respect the race admins, they're not going to do anything stupid, and just shows a level of profession, I think, that's involved within the TPS. And you see drivers lining up, and I believe we're getting away for a warm-up lap.
Yes, indeed we are. I'll just let Toby continue giving out instructions as race control. So yeah, I think the disaster has in fact been fixed. I think they're just going round. I mean, warming the tyres up isn't really a huge deal here. Certainly
more
not
the
to the
brake.
same extent.
I think brakes are going to be a big issue, because you've stopped still for a good 2 or 3 minutes with guys like Keithley and Butcher, and I think this is going to be very key. They need to get those brakes and tyres warmed up, but on an oval there isn't really much opportunity to do that, and if you go into the first turn with cold brakes, even on an oval, whilst it's still not as important, it's still quite important, and you could still potentially lose a few positions if you get it wrong. So we'll have to see as they snake around going in towards turn 3.
Yep, at the end of this lap, we will be racing. So after all of that, now we will be racing. Thank God for that. So just hopefully Ben will make that clear to everyone. But we're 2 corners away from racing.
Yeah, so as a field line up then, tensions higher than ever, hearts going like trip hammers, more would say than Chris Butcher. And of course we all have to wait. This is not on leader's pace. It is down to the green flag signal, and we'll have to wait as the field get ready to bunch up and go 27 laps of racing. Question is going to be the victor at the end as they'll pile onto the straight. Waiting for this flag signal as they come across the start-finish line now.
Yeah, they're just coming up to the start-finish line now, Liam. It's going to be absolutely mental to see when people get the jump. Literally a few yards away from the green signal now. Everyone is in formation, so there's not going to be a go-around or anything. And we are actually finally racing for race 1 of the 5th round. And Butcher's been swamped.
4 wide, Thomas Nilsson dives through them. What a jump he got. The 2 THR Greens must have planned that formation of diving out to avoid any carnage. But streaming into turn 1, they ended up 4-1, and Butcher slipped down the order. Butcher's made a bit of contact as well. He's forced to the inside apex there, taking a bit of contact. The man who started on pole is slipping down the order now, and this is absolutely catastrophic as the field snake their way through turn 2 onto the straight. They need to get linked up with the drafting buddy sooner than later as they all start squirming for position, trying to find someone. As there you see Jack Keithley coming under pressure now, and he's lost that first place as the rest of the field come in behind Nilsson up to 3rd, and that's a very interesting fast lap. Butcher way down the order, fighting with Biza, Müller and Tolberg.
It took 7 minutes for everyone to get started, so it was just about beneficial rather than restarting qualifying. Apologies once again. Out of my control that everyone was left the game. So there's always loads of carnage on that start-finish straight. Loads of bits of pieces of stuff everywhere. James Johnson is greyed out. I'm not quite sure what that means. That usually means DNF. And the THR green cars well wide through turn 1 there as they come towards the back straight now. Just a left-hand kink, and they'll be on it. So everyone is sort of in line astern looking for that drafting partner, as you were saying. And it's going to be very, very interesting indeed to see exactly who people pick up.
Yeah, well, that was very interesting you saw that. That was Jesper Tolberg actually diving out of Henderson's push to get into his teammates. And that was very, very cheeky there. As you can see, of course, Butcher is still technically teammates with them. The THR Army tried to go as the Butcher going very wide there to try and get into Henderson. And here he comes then. Let's see how much of a gain this gives. Still got pushed to passes, don't forget that. But right now Butcher's trying to navigate his way past Henderson at the inside so he can get onto the back of his teammate. Question is, can he make the move stick? He's getting a push.
Oh, huge! Into the wall!
The THR teammates just totally misjudged it, exactly what I was talking about earlier on, and he just misjudged the braking point in the corner, and that could have very well ended the race of not only Chris Butcher, but perhaps Jesper Tolberg.
Tolberg is creeping along. I think he's got something seriously wrong with his car. That's going to completely put pay to his championship chances. Chris Butcher is up in 12th. He's still out on track. Look at that. Chris survived relatively unscathed, I think. I think Tauborg will be a DNF, unfortunately. And let's have a quick look, see if we can catch that on replay. So Butcher has, at this point, he's exited the corner. Let's see what happened. Was he pushing, or he was being pushed by Tauborg? Oh, look.
I think I was being pushed by Wiesenmüller actually, and I think it may have just gone a bit too much. AC Tolberg in front, so this is from his view, but I think that's very interesting. I'm sure there'll be a few choice words between them, but nonetheless they are teammates, and through goes Butcher on the inside of Nascimento. Nascimento, of course, had a fairly average race so far. He's got himself up there in pit lane, looking like it's going to be fairly busy within the next couple of laps. There's a front bumper there, and now it's just become a survival race, and you've got to try and link it up to your teammates, or at least drafting partner of your choice, because now 5 laps in already, and so much has already ensued, and surely that's only going to be more where that came from. I think that was Tolberg actually pulled over on the way. Yes, it is Jesper Tolberg, and that's a sight we're not used to seeing at all. Jesper Tolberg pulled over on the track. I think he may have stuck there, and that's the end of his race.
It certainly is. Jack Keithley, on the other hand, is taking the lead of this race, and Johnson has been relegated to 2nd place, and Tommy Nielsen in 3rd is not that far behind, and Henderson in 4th. So Nielsen has some protection here from Henderson, and James Johnson, the Lone Ranger at the moment for THR. Sene is in 5th position with Wiesenmüller, however. Malon Lintz is in 7th with Miguel Lopez. Those two doing quite well. Nuno Silva up in 9th. Kenneth Yeoman in 10th, and Chris Butcher down in 11th position. And I was sort of expecting a monumental battle for the lead, and they've already sort of... That's not going to happen, I don't think, anymore. Further down, Vinicius Ferreira's had a good start. Dino Paolini up to 15th position. And not far behind, you've got Tamas Fott and Ivan Navarro in a battle for 16th place. Kenneth Yeoman and Nuno Silva are all over each other as well. And Miguel Lopez is dropping down the order. I think something's happened to him.
I've just seen that on the replay.
Marlon Lintz has spun. Interesting.
And look at the man in 8th as well. Nuno Silva has made a great climb now. As you can see him just trying to follow Kenneth Yeomanenko. And he's seeing if he can perhaps move up the inside. But he's just right now, I think, Portuguese man's just going to try and stay in the slipstream of Yeoman and try and catch the pack in front. This is where I think pushing and pulling is, or if you will, is going to be the most dividend, because if you're being pulled away from by the top 5 or so, you need to get your game on, get in a slipstream quickly and try and push to the front, because that gap is only going to escalate. And you can see Sene's got the right idea, tucking in behind Damien Henderson. Let's see how that turns out later on. But right now, Sene up in top 5. He's had a great run so far, and of course, he had a good result last week as well. So great to see Sene once again back in the top 5. For the top 3 then, still, as it stands, it's Keithley from Nilsson, then Damien Henderson. So a very interesting top 3, and I think now Keithley using some traffic is a bit of an advantage. I'm not sure if anyone used that, or unless James Johnson's still in the race. And that's his car, but he's still showing out the race, so...
Yeah, I think he is still in the race. I think there was a slight bug. We might have some fun when we're processing the results later on, but for now, Johnson is still in the race, and still legitimately so, not quite sure what's happened there. It might be one of the little glitches that came across, or came about with the messing about that we had to do in warm-up. Ben Davis down in the pit lane, got some news on the start line.
Yeah, I think... It was Tamas Fott actually running to the back of Kevin Enderman. Kevin Enderman seemed to have a very slow getaway with or reaction time to the green signal given by race control. It was held for a long period of time, but that probably helped them down into the first corners because they wasn't carrying as much speed. But yeah, he just didn't react quickly enough, or to the same reactions as Tamas Fott. And Tamas Fott straight to the back of him, spinning round. Caused a bit of a pile up behind, but no real major incident for anyone else. So good to see Tamas Fott still running. And also Kevin Enderman still running it, albeit quite a way down. Just the contact with Miguel Lopez and Marlon Lintz. Lopez came up behind Lintz, and just going into that fairly tight left under, just gave him a nudge. I don't know whether he was trying to bump draft or go past him. It was difficult to judge from the replay. But they just both spun round in nice synchronised style. But that just dropped them down the order and certainly wouldn't have helped either of their races.
There's a great battle going on for the lead, but I just want to follow this battle just for a moment, as we already third through the race. This is how quick the race is progressing, despite our little delay. It's going to be the shortest... Oh, Ernie Droska in the wall! I wonder what's happened to him. He was a lap down. Navarro was in the wall as well. He hit that fairly hard, actually. I wonder if he's got some damage from that. But Ferreira, Yunt, Navarro and Lopez here. Actually, Yunt's just down the road, so it's Ferreira, Lopez and Navarro. Navarro's just dropped back a little bit off the 2. Dino Paolini and Tamas Fott still having a battle. Actually, the closest battle. Tommy Nielsen has now taken the lead, but here comes Johnson again. So these 3 are swapping positions, and they're actually leaving Henderson a little bit in their wake, and Sene and Wiesenmuller have got their work to cut out to get by Henderson, but this is exactly what Tommy Nielsen needs to do, Liam.
Yeah, he needs to just keep pushing right now. He is in second. He's got past Keithley, as we've said, but now he needs to try and get on that back end of James Johnson as soon as possible, because Keithley is not going to let that go lightly. And it's so hard to pull away from another car on an oval if you don't have a slipstream, and that's what we're seeing now. This could be a race-long battle as Keithley darts to the inside. But he's forgetting here, though, that Nielsen does have a bit of a push from Johnson, and that's going to help him round the corner, providing he doesn't tap the front wheel. But Keithley trying to sneak up the inside. Very crafty move, trying to use all the racetrack and push him right to the outside, still on the inside. And I'm not sure what Johnson's trying to do here, but of course none of these are his teammates, so he's just got to be careful and who he allows to get in his slipstream. Right now they both want a piece of him, but none more so than Tommy Nielsen. He's back down to third. But and that was a big moment, and he managed to hold on to that. But incredible stuff there, and that's just what I was talking about again with mistiming braking points, and it's so easy to do as well. But luckily a driver of Tommy Nielsen's calibre was able to escape it, but James Johnson's calibre was able to somehow hold on to that and keep out of the wall.
Yeah, that was a very scary moment for the pair of them there, actually, and I just think Johnson will have had his heart in his mouth at that moment in time. But some good racing going on further back, and this is Sene and Henderson battling away over fourth position, and behind them they've got Wiesenmuller and Yearman a little bit further back. Yearman actually is being caught by Silver and Butcher. Butcher might make it into the top 6 here if he's pushing as hard as he is now. He sort of needs to use Silver as a bump drafting partner rather than trying to overtake him, which I think is what he's doing. And further back, Nascimento, if you look, and I think that's David Yunt are together. There they are. So there's some people teaming up, perhaps with slightly unusual drivers, you'd have to say, but back towards the front. Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely incredible to watch, as it's I mean, now Keithley all over the back of Johnson. He's not going to like that sight. Of course, bright yellow Precision Motorsports livery just screeching under his rear end, trying to search for a way through. The previous world champion knows what it's like to overtake, and I'm sure James Johnson's no exception, learning how it is to defend as well. So it's going to be an intriguing battle, because if Keithley does miss time a braking point, or the move doesn't quite pay off, there's a very hungry Tommy Nielsen looking to try and snatch a championship away from his team. That's Kenneth Yearman, I think. It could have been Nuno Silva. No, I'm pretty sure it's Kenneth Yearman, yeah.
Let's have a quick look, see what we can see. You see Jesper Tauborg is still out on track, which is unusual. Van der Velt's back in the pit lane. Van der Vedden, excuse me. Enderman and Bell are still on track. Yeah, that looks like Kevin Enderman to me. Oh, it's Jonathan Ockerclint. Well, he needs to press escape. That's quite a dangerous position to be in there.
Right, on the exit of the corner as well. That's the preferred line to take.
I don't know what he's doing exactly.
Keithley has taken the lead back out the front, though. As you've seen this, and these trios still lead the way by a total of 3 seconds from Henderson. So they are pulling away despite swapping positions time and time again. Right now, Keithley decides to try and hold on to that position. He's earned it, and very rightly so. Also, a bit of an aggressive push earlier on Johnson, but and to see is that's very interesting. You can see Henderson and Sene in the background, but they're just not able to catch up to the leaders. So very, very interesting indeed. But right now, Johnson all under the rear wing again of Keithley, and Nielsen getting involved takes a bit of a wider line because he just got right under the rear of Jack Keithley. And now Keithley's going to do the same because Johnson trying once again to search for a manoeuvre, and he just can't quite get it done. He doesn't have the momentum. He may need a push to pass right here.
Johnson is actually pushing Keithley along, so decided to stop swapping positions with him and actually start using him to try and perhaps get away from Nielsen, which is what Johnson needs to do if he wants to. Oh, he gives the back of Keithley a tap. There's going to be contact with these cars when there's going to be bump drafting, and it doesn't mean it's an excuse to use that bump drafting in other positions as well, especially through the corners. It's a little bit more dangerous. But this is what Johnson needs to do: get on the back of Keithley and push him down the straights, and it does help both cars. So it'll be interesting to see what happens through the remainder of this race, and we see Nuno Silva limping back to the pit, so he's obviously been in the wall, which is a shame for him. Obviously had some contact with someone.
Gone wide now. Look at Nielsen as well, and maybe go 3 wide here somehow. Oh, very cheeky there. Keithley somehow holds on after getting a bit wide, but now being stalked down by Tommy Nielsen, and of course with Johnson having nowhere to go in terms of a push, he may lose actually a position to Tommy Nielsen, but Tommy actually, I think he may have tapped the wall a bit there.
Yeah, I think he scrubbed off some speed by rubbing on the wall, and it's a shame he's done that. Actually, that was he could have pushed Keithley through. Actually, Keithley got through by himself anyway, but Nielsen could have slotted into second. But they're really just scrapping for the fun of it at the minute. Need to be a little bit careful, but the major, as someone runs over some debris, I think there's Henderson rubbing over some debris there, and Butcher has made his way up into 6th place, just ahead of Kenneth Yerman, so he has made progress, so this is going to be another one of those saves from Butcher, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely, he's up into 6th already, so definitely hungry for a top 5, let's see if he can get it. Of course, the next man who's about 2.3 seconds is Alexandra Sene and Damien Henderson, who are trying to push and catch the leaders. So whether Kenneth Yerman decides to sit underneath him and give him a bit of a push and try and get himself up there as well, probably be the smartest idea for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens over the next few laps between those two. There is obviously plenty of time left in this race for stuff to happen, which is not exactly the sort of thing you want to hear, actually. But who's that in the pit lane? Is that Nuno Silva coming out of the pit lane on my screen? Not very helpful saying it's on my screen, but I'm watching also from the game itself, as in my sort of admin role. I think Nuno Silva leaving the pit lane as Junt and Nascimento are pushing each other along very nicely indeed. Rita Muller and the lapped Van der Veld as well are pushing each other along. Ferreira has got a gap to Paolo Honorato, who is being pushed by Glenn Cabis, and these two obviously have been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got them into 12th and 11th respectively as well, and 12th and 13th, I beg your pardon, so if they can keep that up, we've still got 9 laps to go. And we have still plenty of time for anything to happen. He went a bit wide there, and I think he may have slipped up the inside slightly. Back at the front, still very much going on. The battle's, I'm sure, far from stopping all over the track. But this is just a fine example of how to push right now. Just look at that bumper to bumper. No fight from any of the drivers. They feel so relaxed in that zone. And just look at that view. That helicopter view is just so remarkable in terms of what you see from the drivers. And it looks so easy, but it's actually so much difficult because you're relying on the driver in front of you not to make a mistake. If he does make a mistake, then you've got no chance of escaping it and just end up clobbering into the rear end of him, and you're literally relying on each other to drive a clean line 100% of the time. And we've seen earlier on in the race it doesn't always go that way, but right now Keithley and Johnson both doing a sterling job out there.
They certainly are. So far we've had 10 retirements for varying causes, and Ben Davis has got some news on some of them in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm just trying to collect as much information as I can, but it's all happening at once, and not a lot of drivers are in T-Street for me to be able to talk to them. But I've got a couple of pieces of information. We've just seen Dino Paolini in the wall and having to retire due to a huge amount of damage. I think he lost a wheel. Tamas Fott I think he may have used a push to pass on the exit of one of the left-handers and just misjudged it and ran into the back of him, which sent him spinning. Fortunately, perhaps for Tamas, he's able to carry on, but we could see a penalty there for sure. Quick word on Ivan Navarro as well. He was rejoining the track. He moved to the inside of turn 2, and Jonathan Ockerklink was coming around the corner, and unfortunately contact was made, and again that just sent Ivan into the spinning into the barrier, and just had too much damage to carry on. So that's a great shame for him. So obviously we all know how hard he works before the event, so that's a shame for him.
It is indeed. These three are still absolutely line astern. Thank you, Ben, for coughing in my ear. And Jack Keithley obviously doing the best he possibly can to keep these two apart. He's currently in second position. Look at that helicopter view. It really is nice, isn't it? And Keithley currently sitting there in the sort of sandwich between two season regulars. Keithley has only popped up for one race so far, but he's doing a sterling job behind Johnson and in front of Tommy Nielsen. And it's anyone's guess who's going to win this race with 7 laps to go. It's going to shortly be 6. And I mean, give us a quick guess, Liam. What do you think?
Well, I couldn't honestly predict it, but I mean, I would say the logical idea would be one of the top 3, perhaps Keithley. But knowing the nature of this circuit and how hard these drivers are pushing, one tiny error from one driver in the middle, and all 3 of them could end up spearing in all directions, and you could very well see perhaps Stanley or Henderson victory switch positions. So I wouldn't like to say at the moment, but odds on it's going to be one of the top 3. But as with all oval racing, you can never quite call it down the middle.
No, you certainly can't. I think Butcher is sneaking up to the back of Henderson here, so Henderson is, I wouldn't say in trouble, of course, that's not the right thing to say, but Butcher is definitely closing on him. Look at that gap coming down. It's now down to a second, so Butcher could get easily into 5th position here, and with a bit of help from Sene, perhaps maybe get up into 4th, and that definitely is a save for Butcher after that first lap incident. Following on from obviously, oh, and look at that contact. It nearly put Keithley in the wall. I think it actually put Nielsen in the wall there. So, but oh, it's one of those things. It's just so difficult to be able to guess what's going to happen in these sort of 3-car battles. But we'll see what actually does happen in the next few laps. Yeoman is still in behind Butcher, and Butcher is just a few tenths off from Damien Henderson. And I mean, pick a winner out of this lot.
I've got a clue. I've got to be honest. It could be any three of them really. If there'll be any team tactics, we see. Is that Keith on the grass?
Oh, Keithley and Johnson! Keithley and Johnson, I think. Look at this! Johnson in the wall! Keithley with no rear wing! And Tommy Nielsen is going to take the victory! Barring any further incidents. What happened there? I mean, and Keithley's in the pit lane. Let's have a look. Oh, we caught the back end of this. What's happened here? Oh, he's lost it by himself. Keithley's lost it by himself. Smashed into the inside wall. Come back on track. Oh, and cleaned up Johnson. Absolutely cleaned him up. And Johnson's in the wall. Keithley DNF. Oh, huge. And look, Mike Bell coming through as well in the wall. Oh, unbelievable scenes. And Henderson! Henderson's in the... What's happened to Henderson? Let's have a quick rewind. Oh no, look what's happened here. Kenneth Yeoman into the back of him in the braking zone, I think. And Butcher's just about escaped without hitting someone. Oh, that's huge from Henderson as well. Oh, the engine blown there. And he just about gets out of the way, doesn't he? But look at that. The space of a few corners. And Ray Lilly, as I said, up to 13th position.
I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, I don't understand how Keithley lost it by himself. I mean, I don't know. Is he knackered his tyres and he had so much contact that his whole rear end had been damaged, perhaps by bump drafting so much? That's very strange. Or maybe he used to push the pass and just pushed it under traction too early and just lost the back end. I mean, perhaps that's just lack of practice or something. But huge turn up for the books here, and we got Sene in second, and Chris Butcher up to third, and Kenneth Yeoman fourth. Unbelievable scenes. Ridiculous.
Absolutely incredible. I don't know, Liam, if you've got, if you're even here, but unbelievable stuff going on. Liam, I mean, are you with us? I fear.
Doesn't look promising.
I fear we have actually lost Liam permanently there, but. Look at Tommy Nielsen out front. I mean, he must be laughing. Ivar Kalame's not turning up with a broken wheel.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw Keithley working with THR, and in the end, that's turned out to be their downfall. And Tommy Nielsen, as you said, will be laughing behind the wheel of that GT Omega racing car. What a turn up for the books. I mean, yes, this is only race one, but this is crucial in terms of the championship. If Tommy Nielsen, if he doesn't make a mistake, which certainly is possible on an oval, it's victory in the bag. But we've got to give credit to some of the other guys who are up there as well. We've got Vinicius Ferreira having a great battle with Glenn Kabis for 9th, 10th and 11th, and those guys must be really pleased with their positions. Also, like Kenneth Yeoman having a battle with Robert Wiesemüller. Also, I mean, it's just there's only a few runners left. I think we've only got about 14 or 15 runners. I don't know, it's just ridiculous.
Butcher has got ahead of Sene, so Butcher, having been taken out by a sort of affiliate THR car, has moved up into second position, and once again is going to save his race. I can't quite understand exactly how they've actually done that. Butcher and Sene have moved up into second and third. Yeoman, I think he's a naughty boy, my friend. I think he's a naughty boy. I think he ran into the back of Henderson. I wouldn't say, obviously, he's not deliberate or anything like that, but it was a little bit careless, and I think Henderson was the direct result of that, so it's a shame for those guys. Liam, are you there?
Yeah, I think my mic was just reformatting itself.
That's always fun. Were you watching that?
I was indeed. No, it was just absolutely incredible. You said anything could happen towards the end of the race, and I think it just about did. I mean, how? I'm not sure. Tommy Nielsen has ended up with this one. With Butcher back up in second, Sene, I think that's going to be an extremely good result for him if he can keep it there in third. I mean, We said he had a good run, but for him to finish there is absolutely incredible. Marlon Lynn's up there in 8th as well. This is a very, very top 10, and exactly what we were talking about earlier. This race can really shape up the championship field.
Oh, look at this! Oh no, Ferreira into Cabis! Oh, Cabis is in the wall, he's got no rear wing! Tommy Nielsen wins the race, and he's lost control over the finish line! Oh, he just survives! Tommy Nielsen wins the race, Sene took second from Butcher, Kenneth Yearman comes through, Wiesema in 5th, David Yunt, and that was Van der Belt, he's been lapped, so Nascimento's coming through in 7th place, Marlon Nitz, as you were saying, in 8th. Look at this battle though! Ferreira, he's going to come through, I think, behind newcomer to the league. This is a debut, and it's going to be a top 10 for the driver from, I can't remember where he's from actually, I think he's Brazilian, Paulo Honorato, and Ferreira sneaking into the top 10. Cabis is going to cross the line just in 11th position. 12th is going to be Tamas Fott. Ray Lilly, my tip for a top 10, snuck into 13th. Kept his nose out of trouble. Van der Belt, obviously, we saw him cross the line. Nuno Silva and Mike Bell, and that's our lot. No further runners. Almost 30 starters, and oh.
I think there'll be a lot to say after this race. There'll be a lot of discussions going on, a lot of arguments, and people just need to keep their cool, because remember, there's another whole race to come yet. We've got a qualifying session to begin in a minute, but just to shout out for Nato Nascimento, he didn't even set a qualifying time, and he's ended up with 7th place. What a crazy race, and certainly one that was worth waiting for, Liam.
Well, absolutely crazy stuff. And we said, unfortunately, it was a bit of a troubled start, but it's all just made up for what has been probably one of the most exciting rounds of the season so far. Nilsson did exactly what he set out to do, take a victory, albeit by some crazy circumstances, but nonetheless, to take a victory and take a big gain out of Ivar Calamis, and then Alexandra Sene as well, picking up a 2nd place. Chris Butcher in 3rd. I mean, this is just such a very top 10, as we've said, but this can only mean that the 2nd race, I mean, if the 2nd race picks up where this one left off, we're going to be in for such an exciting next round.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy if that carries on into the 2nd race. Let's just hope. So guys, I mean, Liam, predictions for 2nd qualifying. I mean, it could be anything really.
Question. I mean, we just saw the first qualifying session alone was very varied, but the race was incredible. So just to add those two together, I don't think you could honestly predict someone, because providing you get a good drafting buddy, then you're going to see some very alien times, I think, coming from drivers who you wouldn't normally expect to be at the front of the field. Perhaps guys like Alexandra Sene, guys like Glenn Cabis, and it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top here. But of course, a good starting position doesn't always mean you can have a race victory, just as we saw earlier on.
Indeed, I mean, it's kind of luck of the draw, kind of whether you can keep your nose out of trouble, like Ray Lilly did, for example, in 13th place. Didn't see him in a single incident through the whole race. But Nilsson up the front, I mean, he's taking the fight to Calamis, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether he's going to be able to carry that through into the next qualifying session. Unfortunately, guys, I forgot to restart the weekend. It's going through to the next weekend, but never mind. It makes no difference. So we load up the cars. I'll just I was going to go to full screen. I think Ben Davis has got hold of Chris Butcher down in the pit lane.
Yeah, I have indeed. Very good of Chris coming to join us. I know not many drivers would in the middle of 2 races. Chris, talk us through that contact initially, the first few laps of the race, and then your drive back to make the podium. I mean, just talk us through it.
Well, to be honest, I feel a little bit robbed because the start procedure was less than clear, which unfortunately meant I dropped a lot of positions, and dropped me into clutches of obviously Robert and those guys, which ultimately ended up in me dropping even further when he made contact with me, which I think he had too much speed into the corner and didn't take that into consideration on the brakes. So there's obviously no malice involved there. But it was fun to come back through the field, and I have to thank Kenneth Yearman actually, because he was a very, very good drafting partner, and he let me stay in front as well, which was very nice of him. But yeah, on the last lap, Senna absolutely robbed me. He was saying to me on TeamSpeak, Chris, you go through. I've got bad straight line speed, and then he uses a push to pass on me at the end of the race, doesn't he? Cheeky little bugger.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, that's one way to outfox Chris Butcher. But yes, no, I mean, well done in the end. I mean, yes, the start procedure wasn't ideal for sure. It's a shame he got caught out. But yeah, I mean, that's hopefully the server will hold up together and the game will hold up together for this second race. Stunning performance in qualifying. Are you hoping to repeat that with that THR teamwork, or are there still some bad feelings floating around between you?
There's no bad feelings at all. It's, honest mistake from Rob. That I'm not gonna, hold any grudges for that. As for qualifying, that was just a really lucky lap. I mean, everybody else was sort of 4/10 behind me, but had pretty similar times. I think I just got lucky with the timing of the slipstream, to be honest. So it could be anyone's. If we all work as a team, I think we'll probably have the same 5 cars at the front again. But potentially in a different order.
Yeah, indeed. It looks as if having numerous cars in a train was certainly the way to go for qualifying at this track. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us, Chris, and good luck for qualifying and the second race.
Thank you very much.
So we're just loading the multi-BC back in to the game. We'll be up shortly and attacking the qualifying. It's also nice to give everyone just a couple of minutes to calm down after that, because I think it was kind of crazy. And there was 1 or 2 incidents there, Liam, that we'd like to avoid in race 2, I think.
Well, I think this race would have perhaps opened a lot of drivers' eyes up and made them definitely aware, possibly even a wake-up call to some of them who underestimated this track in how much preparation it takes and how much hard work it takes. I think that's a common misconception with oval tracks, but I'm sure a few of those incidents would have taken a lot of drivers by surprise. They would have realised how hard they can push other drivers. Certainly at the front, the guys like Keithley and Johnson, who unfortunately got tangled up, would realise how hard they can push now. They won't overdrive the car. They won't try and slam into the car in front. You can see I think that's one of the THR greens that's got the aerial view this time around. But I think it's going to be very interesting this session. I hopefully we see a lot more calm driving, as opposed to the, not irrational, but it got a bit heated towards the end and desperation began to set in almost for a few of the positions. And I think once again, unfortunately, that ended a couple of people's races.
Yeah, indeed. I think there's a couple of unhappy people. I think Damien Henderson certainly feels a bit aggrieved for what happened. But like I said, they just need to keep a cool head. We're only halfway through this. There's a clean sheet now for qualifying. For sure, the build-up to that race with the game slightly going wrong, to put it mildly, certainly wasn't helping their mental state in preparation for the race. I know myself, I like to have a nice clean head before I go racing, and having the potential of a new qualifying being restarted certainly doesn't help your mental thoughts going into a race, particularly when it's such close racing in these high downforce rear-wheel drive cars at this oval, and when you're making contact deliberately with legally but deliberately with each other, any heated thoughts can lead to mistakes, and we saw the number of people going out because of accidents was very high, and I mean, we don't like to see that at all, although some of it is quite exciting and it certainly shakes up the field a bit. But again, Tommy Nilsson, he got the job done. I mean, you could say he was slightly fortunate in that race, but he still got the job done and won the race. Toby is putting his hand on the top of his head in desperation, fear. I don't quite know what's going on, but hopefully the game isn't.
Yeah, the game is struggling to load the next session. This is a problem we had earlier in the year, and we thought it was to do with the replay, but the replay is on very low settings, so I'm not quite exactly sure why it's doing it. But let's see if we can get the qualifying started. I think everyone's car's loaded in now, so maybe everyone can go. Yay! Look at that! Everyone leaving the pit lane on cue. I can breathe again. I don't know about the drivers, but I'm sweating buckets here, Liam.
Well, it's going to be a very tense race to say the least, I'm sure, for the drivers more so than us, but especially the guys in the midfield, because, I mean, we saw how tense it was out front. We didn't really get, I mean, if we saw an onboard V from someone who's like, there's already carnage in the pit lane there. That was Tommy Nilsson and Jack Keithley once again, getting in a bit of contact there, but guys in the midfield, I think it would have been great to see perhaps an onboard V from someone perhaps starting 12th or 13th, seeing just a vast array of cars all around them. It was how that start kind of panned out for them and how careful you have to be, because it's incredibly close out there and you've just really got to be have your wits about you.
Jesper Talbot just left the game, which is a bit unusual, but no other people, so only just that one person, so that's okay. Navarro is teaming up with whoever he can, it looks like, out there. Hopefully one of the THR guys in front of him is giving him the draft. Kent Bjorman behind him, and Chris Butcher's leaving the pit lane now. David Henderson is wise to that and leaves with Tommy Nilsson, obviously trying to get onto the back of this train. Look at them speeding out of the pit lane, trying to get onto track. They've just about done it, sweeping in front of other cars. Butcher is obviously trying to get round behind Keithley, but runs a little bit wide through that corner. So everyone is looking for their drafting partner, but obviously not quite sure exactly where they are out on track.
Yeah, it's very difficult to say. Chris Butcher was certainly very keen to get out of the pits, then paying no attention to the speed limiter, which they don't have to at all. But yeah, I mean, contact in the pit lane is not great, but hopefully it hasn't damaged him too much. I mean, we saw him have that contact and pick up some damage, and he was still able to maintain a good pace. So I guess, I mean, if you lose it, oh dear, Butcher into the wall and back to the pits. That's a bit of a mistake. But yeah, you saw a bit of damage that didn't really cost them too much time. You don't really need massive amounts of downforce. As I said, they were running with the lowest downforce possible. We see the time starting to flood in. THR Purple working together, and they're setting mid 51s. That's a good start for them. Sene and Nascimento in qualifying this time round, and time's flooding in again. David Junt in third, Sergio Junior in fourth at the moment. Reasonable times coming.
Yeah, there's lots of purple sectors going on here for the THR Purple cars, and they've got a 5-car slipstream, Liam. Look at this. And this is what we saw in the first qualifying session. It's all about that getting that multiple car slipstream.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course it did work out for Chris Butcher last time. You didn't want too many because you end up with something like this and just an array of cars flying all over the place trying to get into a slipstream, which can often cause chaotic events to occur. But luckily none of that right now, as long as it's Sene back at the front of the timesheets, just been pipped by Keithley, but not by much indeed as he crosses the line. Nascimento goes to third, so THR Purple looking extremely competitive in the early stages. There you see Keithley on the rear end of James Johnson. I'm pretty sure those two may be sick of each other by the time this race is over. They seem to be switching positions quite a fair amount today throughout all sessions. There's nice to see Wiesemüller drafting with them. Wiesemüller currently P6. How's his draft going to affect his time as they go through the second set? He was only a hundredth of a second down, but that push from Butcher, oh, he's spun. Okay, that's completely contradicted my outlook on that, but
Look at this, Marlon Lintz is down in 21st, but he's somehow gone purple, and he's not even got a drafting partner, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to Lintz on this lap. He's only a tenth and a half down at the moment. I mean, Liam, it's looking pretty good for him. He's going quicker than he's ever gone before.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be perhaps a top 10 maybe, hoping he can put it all together, but without a draft it's not going to be nothing too substantial, and he goes up to 7th though, so nonetheless a very good effort by him. Without a draft, to be able to do that on your own is a very respectable feat. Let's see who else is going to try their luck at breaking into the top 10. We could see some unwell names though. You see JJ Wang up into 11th, so he gets sandwiched in between Butcher and Keithley. I'm sure that's not two guys you want to be sandwiched in between. Marlos Lintz goes purple, so definitely got a bit of a run off someone. Let's see what he can do through the next two sectors. He's definitely looking feisty at the moment, and a top 5 for him could really boost his kind of hopes to get a midfield push in the next couple of rounds. Right now, look at Alexandra Sene as well, gone quicker than Keithley, so time's flooding in, pace is ever quickening up as the track rubber's in, and also two THR Purple teammates giving each other a bit of a push. Push is surely what must have been intended during practice sessions, so all going to plan at the moment for THR Purple. Let's see if Sene can get a pole position. That'll be a huge confidence boost for the team.
Yeah, look at that. I think it's Damien Henderson shooting off to the right. Sene and Nascimento coming across the line. Now this will be interesting to see what happens to Nascimento, because he had a great slipstream on the back straight, catching up Sene. Sene stays in second. The times aren't actually that quick, you know, so obviously one or two things transpiring against these guys. Chris Butcher hasn't set a time yet at all. I don't know exactly why that is. Ray Lilly in 19th position there, where you can see him warming up the tyres. THR Purple guys in 2nd and 3rd are both going at purple, and I was waiting for that to say that. Looking forward to saying that. Chris Butcher is purple himself, and he is now just 0.035 off the leader, so let's see what Butcher can do. He's currently down in 25th without a time. I think Damien Henderson, the other person who really... Oh, and Nielsen hasn't set a time either, so they've only got a few minutes left to do that. Butcher coming towards the line now. He's got a double slipstream ahead of him from Keithley and Johnson, and he's coming towards the line now. Goes von pole. So Butcher takes pole position, and this is provisional, of course. Keithley and Johnson go 2nd and 3rd as well. So it's all happening. Nato Nascimento and Alexandre Sene obviously did improve, but not enough. And they set identical lap times. Look at that. And Butcher's going purple once again.
Nuno Silva.
Where did that come from? Nuno Silva pops up into provisional pole. I don't think he'll stay there. Butcher has got the double slipstream again from Keithley and James Johnson. Johnson's going quicker than he's ever gone before, and Butcher's going 10th quicker than his current best. Tommy Nielsen has popped up into 7th, which is where he started race 1 from, I believe. So he's is doing a good job at the moment, but is he doing enough? He obviously needs to be in the top few here. And Butcher goes on pole. Look at that, 0.2 of a second. I think that might be good enough, you know. I don't see anyone going that much quicker than Butcher.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Butcher's got an absolute storm of a time once again. We saw that last session, but what a time by Nuno Silva out of the blue. But Butcher still keeps improving. He's just gone 0.02 of a second quicker than the session best so far, which of course he owns as well. Right now, look how quickly he's just breezed up to Jack Keithley. That's incredible. Those two were pulling away a few moments ago, now being reeled in. And a massive 0.2 gain there by Chris Butcher. And that's just how much a train can help you. You can get the slipstream, you just dive straight up onto them. And this is going to be a dominant timing by Butcher. I can't see anyone better in this, providing all goes to plan, because a 50-on-1 to be 0.2 quicker, you're looking at a low 50. Let's see what he can do. It's a 51.0. So 0.2 quicker than James Johnson's time, and Chris Butcher is flying right now.
He certainly is. Look at that. I think he's just figured out the technique for this track. It's about teaming up with more than one car and getting that slipstream. Let's have a look, see if anyone else is improving. Tommy Nielsen's by himself. This is the problem Nielsen's got. Damien Henderson has improved, so we will at least help him out in the race. Only to be bettered by Marlon Lintz, who moves up into 7th position, gets ahead of Nielsen as well. Interesting that. And David Yunt's going quicker, and he's got Kenneth Yeoman in front of him. So those two obviously pushing each other around. And all of the THR guys coming out of the pit lane, along with Jack Keithley, all at the same time. I'm watching on my screen, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can get another lap in. I think it takes at least 1 lap to sort of get the tyres warm and get sort of in the groove. Yunt's coming over the line now. He is still green, so this could move him up the field. Not substantially, and it doesn't at all move him up the field. That's a shame for Yunt. Ivan Navarro is green, but he hasn't really got a slipstream of anyone else. He's missing a front clip. What's happened to Navarro?
Could have been very well some contact with a wall or another driver trying to set a lap, but that's a big shot. Looks kind of like a Batmobile in different colours. As they try and set lap times now into the last minute of the session, then last chance saloon for these drivers to try and pull something special out of the bag. What have these drivers got left in the tank in terms of mental and fatigue? As you see, Reese Miller trying to catch up to those THR purples. Be interesting to see there's communication between the cross THR teams as they decide to let up a little bit and let Vita Miller catch them for an added boost. But right now he seems to be doing a fair good job of himself. This will be, however, I think, his final lap. So he's going to need to try and do something quickly. Got a bit of oversteer through there, but nothing too major, as now those THR purples, still both of them on personal bests, and both of them are quite substantial ones as well.
Yeah, they
can do.
Yeah, Visa Miller is in a good position here. You can see him just creeping up to the purple guys in front of him, and he does need to be going a little bit quicker than he is. Oh, look at that oversteer through there on the brakes. Obviously these guys running a skinny rear wing as they could possibly dare. Sene and Nascimento are both going green. This could be quicker for both of those guys. Nato Nascimento and Alexander Sene. Jesper Talbog up to 6th place. Where has that come from? Visa Miller needs a very good final sector here to improve. And he stays 15th. Look at that. The clock has ticked to 0. Sene and Talborg in 5th and 6th positions. So Sene did move up in front of Talborg again. Ben Davis down in the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just going to say that last lap really was vital for Jesper Talbot because he obviously left the game and re-entered it. He lost his THR train of cars to begin with, but managed to get on the back of Kenneth Newman and set the 6th fastest lap time. But it just shows how important these getting more than one partner to slipstream. And we saw Chris Butcher, he wasn't actually bumping anyone. He was just using the double slipstream in front of him. That seems to be the fastest way. He said he got lucky in quali 1, and that seems to be the reason. Jesper Talbot goes second, in behind Jack Keithley.
And as the clock's ticked to 0, Talbot doing a sort of mini celebration, I guess, as he crosses the line and goes up into second place, and that's vital for him after losing connection earlier in the qualifying session, and also crushing out of race 1. And he's not going to be the champion. It's going to be between Nilsson and Calamise as they head into the final round at Sebring in 2 weeks' time. But of course, we've still got race 2 to run here, and Nilsson needs a very strong result, as strong as he can manage, to sort of get up alongside Keithley. I think the cars have gone through, and no one's left the game. Yes, we're going to have a proper start in race 2. Thank God for that. Liam, I mean, talk about the winners and losers in qualifying. We've got some interesting people at the front of the field. Nuno Silva up in 5th once again, look.
Yeah, Silva definitely firmly established himself as a top 5 contender here in the World Supertech Series. I think Chris Butcher once again got the best of that qualifying session, really does have a knack for this track and this style of racing, it seems. And Jesper Tolberg, as he said, he needed that one. Unfortunately, he will not be a contender for the championship, but it will be great to see him duel it out at the front of the field. James Johnson also and Jack Keith, the usual suspects, just behind. Looking at Tommy Nilsson, last time's race winner, down in 10th position, so definitely a big loss there for him. And how badly is this going to affect his kind of championship hopes, Ben?
Yeah, indeed. Just talking about the championship, we've just seen Tommy Nilsson post in the chat that he's won the team title. So GT Amiga Racing have won the team championship already with that Tommy Nilsson victory, and obviously the others being mixed up and contact as usual. But we saw in that qualifying, it was so close. The top 19 drivers, I think it was, were covered by a second. We've never seen that before. I mean, that's just crazily close, and it is, as Chris Butcher said, being in the right place at the right time. He's managed that twice now. So he lines up on pole. Jesper Talborg second, just managed to get a lap late on. James Johnson third, Jack Keithley fourth, working together with the THR. Nuno Silva up in 5th, great result for him. Sene in 6th. Nato Nascimento in 7th, which is where he finished from the back of the grid in race 1. Marlon Lintz in 8th place. David Junt 9th. Tommy Nilsson down in 10th, but he will mind that because he's chasing Ivor Calamis for the Drivers' Championship. Damien Henderson 11th. Sergio Junior at 12th. Kenneth Newman 13th. Perhaps we're a bit disappointed with that. Even Navarro up in 14th, good for him. Robert Milson-Miller again, just not in the right place at the right time, down in 15th. Kevin Enderman 16th. Mike Bell 17th. Dino Paolini, Miguel Lopez 18th, 19th Dino Paolini, 20th Ray Lilly with that beautiful Duracell livery, 21st JJ Wang, 22nd the newcomer Paolo Onrato, Thomas Fort 23rd, he'll be hoping to stay out of trouble in this next race, 24th Andy van der Velde, 25th Vinicius Ferreira, 26th Glenn Cabis, 27th David van der Ven, 28th, and rounding out the field is Jonathan Ockergut.
That was a trial, wasn't it, Ben?
Sure, I'm struggling here. I've got man flu.
So that was the grid. Hopefully you managed to follow some of that. And we're talking about people, newcomers to the field. Honorato has gone second in warm-up, so that's a good result for him.
Yeah, a very interesting session as well, and 2 minutes 50 left on the clock at the moment. And Thomas Fott, as you said, doing a good job there up in first. Of course, as you said, this is only warm-up sector times. They don't really reflect race pace or qualifying pace, but so I think we could see some of these guys like Van der Ven, as you take a look at him now. Guys like, for instance, Nuno Silva as well, show real faith in this top 5 race today in terms of the podiums. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, we saw anything can happen last time. This got a bit too intense out the front. But I think perhaps if Jack Keith or someone like that once again puts a foot wrong, I'm sure that guys who kind of guys looking to make a name for themselves here and perhaps secure a drive for next year, or maybe a team in a different sort of division of TPS, would be more than happy to capitalise on that opportunity, you can only imagine.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, obviously it's going to be interesting to see what actually does happen in the future of TPS. We've got the mini challenge starting up on GameStop Car in a few weeks' time. That should be interesting. It's after the WSS is finished, so we'll look to see some of these drivers perhaps moving over to the minis. They are an absolute hoot to drive, and my girlfriend is promising that she'll do lots of practice and try and do a race. So if you want to be beaten by a girl, you should sign up. She's actually not too bad. So interesting bit of news for you. As Nuno Silva loses control, I think it may have been tagged by one of the GT Amiga boys. That's a huge contact with the wall, isn't it? And that just is the danger here. It's just so tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I think always play with an oval as well. And the thing is, once you make a mistake on an oval, going into that corner, you will never approach it the same way again. Unlike a road circuit, you can try and find different approaches. There's only one way. And if you mess up once, it's going to affect your mindset for the rest of the race, no matter how you look at it. Or try and avoid it, because there's only one way around it, and you're going to be scared that you can't try a different line to try and rectify that error. You've got to A, rely on the cars around you, and B, just focus on not making that mistake again, and just that focus alone can cause another mistake. So it's going to be very interesting here in this second race.
Yeah, definitely, and focus is one thing that perhaps the drivers are disregarding because it's an oval. They may be sort of concentrating on talking to their partner who they're trying to bump draft. They might be just looking to get in people's draft and just negating the fact that they still need to go around these corners carefully and as quickly as possible. And I think that's possibly a reason why we saw so much contact and mistakes made in race 1, which meant that only 13 or 14 people finished.
Yeah, it was not many people finishing at all. In fact, people like Henderson actually managed to be classified well inside the points as a result of the sort of high retirement rate. And it'd be interesting to see whether people, as I said, like Ray Lilly in race 1, I predicted him for a top 10. Actually, he got 13th. I'm a bit annoyed that he didn't actually get a top 10 in terms of my predictions. But you know, someone like that might actually sneak a top 10 again. And in fact, going down the field, Liam, pick a randomer from the back of the field, or from who we normally see further down the field who might sneak into the top 10. What do you think, Mike Bell, someone like that?
I think that's a very good shout as well, and perhaps maybe even someone like a Sergio Jr. or maybe Ivan Navarro. We saw him a bit further down the field, unfortunately, there. But there's going to be the top 16 as well. Kevin Enderman we saw was a little bit of a factor earlier on. I think just outside the top 5 is going to be the most competitive part in the race. Apart from the leaders, you've got the likes of Sene and Nascimento starting side by side there. So that's going to be ideal for them. We saw that worked very well for Tolberg and his teammate, of course, Wiesenmüller, who starts way down in 15th, so not gone too well there. But I think Wiesenmüller could be a good shout as well. We know what he's like around this circuit, and I'm sure he can be sure to show his face in the top 10 today, if not the top 5. So, but who are we to predict? Because once again, I think this series is going to prove us wrong. As we've seen so many times in the past, and even today's race, it just shows that anything can happen. Especially putting these drivers on an oval is just asking for something that's out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's a big gap actually appearing that's sort of distracting my point that I'd generated in my head. I'm not quite sure who was slow off the grid. I think it was Alexandre Sene. They head around turn 1 and now onto the back straight, and this is roughly where they should start to slow down and get into their sort of formation ready for the start. And be interesting to see exactly how they all line up. It looks like everyone is starting to slow down and get in formation now, and they're all coming through. No contact so far, all looks hunky-dory. And the front of the field, you've got Chris Butcher on the right, Jesper Taubog on the left. And behind Butcher, he's got James Johnson, his teammate. That could be vital for Butcher.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs all the support he can get now, and of course, starting on the front, he needs that kind of bit of a push. He had an atrocious start last time, I think he'll admit that one, and needs a bit of a push now to make sure he gets his race kick-started in the right direction. So as they approach turn 3 then, tensions will be running extremely high within the THR garage, as you've got 2 guys are first and third right behind each other. They need a good start. Johnson's got to be careful though. If Butcher does not get off the line quick enough, or he goes off too soon, the last thing you want to do is slam into your teammate, as we saw with the 2 THR greens earlier. So we come round turn 3 then, Butcher's got to bide his time, be careful, and as soon as he's got to be literally the split-second reaction. This is all about focus now as they come onto the home stretch.
Indeed, and round in the final corner now, and it's going to be absolutely crucial. Last time Butcher got a terrible start, kind of dozing, I guess, waiting for the green flag signal to come, but now we're just approaching the start-finish line. Anytime soon we'll see the green flag signal, and the start of the race will be going. And of course, Butcher on the right, Taubog on the left. Let's see, they're being held for an extremely long time, and here we go, green, green, green. Butcher gets a good start. James Johnson, reasonable start. Sene sweeps in behind Johnson. Keithley is in behind Talborg, and Nilsson is not making great progress early on. He's still in 10th position. Nuno Silva, in fact, in the background as Butcher goes through in the lead. Marlon Lintz on the outside there. Sergio Jr. just behind him. Keithley's in behind Johnson immediately as well. I think everyone's sort of squeezed through. Oh, there's contact in the background. That looked like Kevin Enderman to me. Kevin Enderman and perhaps, I'm not quite sure who that was.
Oh, God,
Damien Henderson.
I'm not too sure what's happened there. He's getting tangled up. Carnage in the opening lap, but
he's out. I don't think so. It's quite a few cars. I mean, we've only sort of 2 or 3 cars involved. Ben will find out exactly what happened. Damien will not be happy about that. He was taken out of race 1 by Kennedy Dierman, and race 2 he's been taken out on the first lap. And that leaves Tommy Nilsson without a draft partner. And up at the front, let's have a look what's happening up at the front. So THR Red do lead 1 and 2 from THR Green. Jesper Talbog. Oh, look at this, James Johnson! Oh, he's cleaned up Butcher! They're in the barrier, and they're both going to be able to carry on. James Johnson carrying on. What happened to Butcher? Oh, it's huge! It's huge by that Tommy Nilsson! Look at this!
Utter carnage, and this is exactly what we're talking about. You cannot pick a winner. And it is just us. With 3 laps in already, some of the main contenders for a win have already dropped out. I don't even know where to look anymore. This has just gone absolutely mental. And David Yuns was a big gainer in that as well. As you can see, a couple of bits of action there with Chris Butcher trying to hold on and salvage something of his race for the 2nd time in a row. But utterly speechless. I don't even know where to start now. Miguel Lopez is out, as is Ivan Navarro. They both joined Damien Henderson, number 90 over that front wing. A couple does dive into the pit lane. But Alexandra Sene has contact there. David Yu's got a nudge from the number 90, and that's not going to be too happy from one of the other green cars. And I think that the big point here, Van der Velde, and Alexandra Sene and Nascimento, THR Purple on a 1-2 at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what to follow. I mean, what happened to? I mean, obviously, what happened to Butcher and Johnson is the big question. I mean, it just looked like Johnson got a tag from behind, but I don't know who from. But THR Purple, as you say, 1 and 2. Jack Keithley in 3rd. Jesper Talborg has remained in 4th. But Johnson got sideways and he picked the best person he possibly could to take out his own teammate. And that was an interesting thing. Oh, Marlon Lintz up to 5th. Look at this. It has promoted some very interesting people into the top 10. Kennedy Dierman in 9th. Tamas Fott in 10th position. And JJ Wang. And look, Kevin Enderman and JJ Wang are side by side now.
Absolutely stuff all going on all the way through the field here, and you can see Enderman just trying to get the jump on Wang round the inside. I think he may have got that one down. There's a car in the wall there.
Oh!
It's, Nuno Silva.
Nuno Silva in the wall. Let's have a look what happened to him. Coming down the start-finish straight. He'll go on board.
He's trying to follow Visa.
We're not going to see anything here.
Then. He's got to be inside, and he's just... Oh, he got a clip.
I think he's just
gone swinging to the wall.
I think he's gone too deep, hasn't he? Anyway, we'll go back to live action because I don't want to miss a second of this. And oh, look at this! JJ Wang is in the wall. Oh, he's held onto his rear wing, so he'll probably be okay. Lost a few seconds. Oh God, I don't know to watch.
5 laps in, we've seen more action than an entire season almost here already. Just utterly incredible. In terms of race as well, Nascimento swapped positions with Sene. The 2 THR green cars are drafting each other, trying to push to the front. You can see Visa Muller trying to push Holberg round and try and navigate their way. Marlon Lintz, I believe they're trying to come up to now.
Yeah, Marlon Lintz is there in 4th, and that's a great result for him if he can hold it there. Jack Keithley up in 3rd position, and he's dropped off the back of the 2 purples. So I think THR Purple, with Nascimento leading from Sene at the moment, might actually sneak away from the field. Ben Davis got some news from the start down in the pit lane.
It's very difficult to comment on everything, but just on Tommy Nilsson and Damien Henderson, it was actually Robert Wiesemüller who was involved in both occasions. Robert made a slightly better exit out of the very first turn 1 and tried to go at the inside of Damien Henderson and just clipped the back of him ever so slightly. And like I said, they're running no down or limited rear wing on the back of these cars, so they're very slippery, obviously. And just any kind of tap just sent Damien Henderson spinning and into the wall and too much damage to carry on. And with Tommy Nilsson, it looks as if Wiesemüller just used the push to pass and sort of misjudged the amount of extra speed he carrying. Tommy Nilsson just tapped David Yunt behind for a bump draft. That obviously slowed him down slightly to begin with. before he catches up again. The whole reason of bump drafting, and Wiesemuller just went to the back of him and he lost it in spinning. But Nielsen's managed to carry on, as has Wiesemuller. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but that's a very sad end for him. I'll try and drop down and have a quick word with him.
Yeah, so Tommy Nielsen, I just want to talk about the championship for a moment. Thank you, Ben, again, coughing in my ear.
Sorry, I'm struggling.
Tommy Nielsen down in 20th position, with the disadvantage of having my brother in the room. That's going to be having huge repercussions on the championship. And, I mean, he's only going to score a point from this. This could leave, I mean, if the GT Amigas finished first and second in the final round, as Nuno Silva in 15th place sets the fastest that time, it could be a straight out fight between them, and Calamy's not having a wheel. Tommy Nielsen needs to take more of an advantage than he has done, and is doing, than that. The two guys at the front, Nato Nascimento and Alexander Sene, tooth and nail fighting. They are just pushing each other around. Sene leading at the moment, obviously more comfortable being in the lead. I'm sure they'll battle it out in the final few laps for that win. Keithley's holding on to the third from Marlon Lintz, Tauborg and Wiesemuller, and James Johnson after that initial spin obviously hasn't got too much damage, and he's sticking in 7th, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, as you said, I think Johnson is going to be a bit struggling at the moment trying to catch Wiesemuller, and needs to try and get a draft. Of course, to find his teammate Jesper Thorberg as well. But going back to the whole Tommy Nielsen thing, as you say, he needs to be trying to get an advantage now and trying to do it quickly as well. This is the only time he's going to realistically try and get some big points over Ivar Calamys. And I think this could be the first race we're not going to see a GT Omega victory the whole season. But I think going into the final round, Nielsen and Calamys, you saw how feisty those two can get. A cheeky pass going into the start-finish line, producing one of the closest finishes ever. These two, whilst they're teammates, they're still rivals in each other's eyes, and they will go tooth and nail trying to get a first position if it means winning the championship. And I think this could be, we will see them as racers and not teammates next race.
Butcher slipping up the inside of Vinicius Ferreira. He's moved up into 11th position as Chris, so that's not too bad so far. He's only 12 seconds off the lead as well. It's not all over for Chris once again, but he's making life difficult for himself. JJ Wang in 14th position. I think he's dropped through the field a little bit. Nuno Silva obviously has more damage than I thought he had, because he's slipping through the field as well. So there are some stories back there. Tamas Fott and Kevin Enderman 9th and 10th. And who was that spinning on my other screen? Paolo Honorato! Oh, huge for Honorato, and that could well be race ending.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, Nascimento! Nato Nascimento, what happened to him?
Let's have a look. We can try and fill us in, or we can try and catch a replay, but the man who was provisionally leading the race as well, along with his teammate Sene, is now sat in the garage, and that's the opposite of where he wants to be, leaving his teammate all alone up front. Let's take a look at what happened here then, and that was one of the How did he get back there? So, he's
no, look what's happened here.
Another error. He just can't the slipstream, got too much, slammed into the wall multiple times, tried to come back across, and I think he may have got a tap as well from one of the THR green cars as he's come back in. See this is alongside Robert Wiesemuller. Let's wait for the cameras to change. He's gone up the inside, and I think Wiesemuller's going to give him a cheeky tap, or he's going to lose it into he's lost it into the wall, and actually hit Wiesemuller a little bit, so onto the grass he goes.
Yeah. But I think what's happened there, Liam, I think he's got such huge... Oh, look at that. I mean, Honorato in the pit lane, but I don't think he's going to fix that. So, we have some new leaders, people, and it's Jack Keithley who leads the race now. So, and just to cement his position, he sets fastest lap of the race. JJ Wang in my other screen spinning in the background, and don't know exactly how fast I can get to him. I think he's recovered actually okay. But look at this, Tauborg in 3rd as well, and Wiesemuller in 4th. And Kevin Enderman and Tamas Fott are all over each other, side by side. So, it's still, I mean, Sene and Nascimento, they had it all. They had it all in the palm of their hand, and they've thrown it away. And it's just anyone's guess what's going to happen in this race, really.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should just be quiet and let them race, because everything we say seems to, the opposites happen. Commentators' courtesy seems to be quite common in this race, but this is what happens when you put a bunch of touring car races on an oval. The unpredictable becomes extremely predictable. And that saying, always expect the unexpected, is showing very key right now, because everyone that seems to lead the race ends up with contact at some form or another. As Keithley leads the race by 0.6 now from Sene. As you take a look at, I think that's JJ Wang once again, trying to force his way back through the field. And then you take a look at James Johnson, who is in front of Wiesemuller now. So now he sets his sights on Jesper Thorberg, who's up in 3rd. But I think And Tommy Nilsson can't get his game on. You know, he's stuck behind JJ Wang at the moment. Look at that, that's going to be very close there. When it's 3 wide as Chris Butcher tries to force his way back through the field. I think that's with Tamas Fott and Kevin Enderman. He's stuck in between at the moment, and of course that's going to be Tamas Fott trying to lose out to that one. Unfortunately, we've been pulled away by Chris Butcher and Enderman, as Butcher almost looks to the inside and not going to have it. The best idea is just to stick with him, because that's cost him time, and now Fott trying to get alongside and go up the inside, but he's not too close there. So I think right now it's just going to be a key of patience for these drivers, because they know the unexpected is going to happen, and I think they should have come in a little bit more prepared. But if we ever go to this track again, I'm sure the racing will be very different.
I'd have to come into this track again and...
3 wide, they're going to go 3 wide, trying to right Toby. Oh, well, I had a bit of a scare there for a moment. I think that was going to surely end badly, but...
I can't watch this anymore. I honestly can't. Commentating on this and watching it. I suppose I'll have to carry on my job. Oh, bit of lag there for Tamas Fott. I hope we're not watching on replay, are we? Potentially we were watching that on replay, I apologise. Oh no, I think this is the replay, isn't it? So, has Tamas Fott... I think Tamas Fott left us through a disconnection. That's a bit of an unfortunate turn of events for him. Definitely was a disconnection. We just stopped circulating, so let's head to the front of the field. Ben Davis got some news on Van Navarro down in the pit lane.
Yeah, I've got news on him and Mike Bell. Navarro just, I mean, when Henderson had that contact with Wiesenmuller, Henderson just lost control of his car and just got speared across the track, and unfortunately Even was there, and he just got collected. I mean, I really do feel sorry for Even Navarro. He's probably the hardest working or hardest practicing person in the TPS at the moment, and he doesn't deserve two DNFs at all, particularly on lap 1. So yeah, great shame for him. Mike Bell was also very unlucky indeed. He made a great start from his best qualifying so far in this series. He did of course have a 3rd place in the pre-season event in the Virtual Clio series on Wednesday night, which is a great result for him in one of the races, 3rd in quali. But yeah, he qualified 17th, made a good getaway, he says, made a couple of places, was on the outside, and again, he just got collected when there was contact. I'm not sure who it was, but I'm very unlucky for him. And I hate seeing people DNF so early on in the race.
Butcher and Enderman, thank you Ben. Butcher and Enderman in 8th and 9th have been nose to tail for a few laps now. I think Butcher is actually using Enderman. Probably Enderman, he feels, is his best chance of improving. Oh no, look at this! Oh, huge for Enderman. Oh, that's his whole back end gone. And Butcher has drop kicked him out the way. And Enderman is out of this race. Very, very out. Missing the whole of his back end. And, oh, Chris, I mean, in the braking zone, naughty boy. And we'll see whether that one gets reported. I'm sure it will. And, oh, and Marlon Litz looked like he was on, you know, straight line into the wall there. I think he survived. Kenneth Yeoman in behind him still. And Sene sets past his lap now. So, and look at this from Wiesenmuller pushing Johnson along. And these two, 4th and 5th, they need to catch up the leading 3, who actually, Talborg is sitting in a very good position here. Sene's got by Keithley as well. It's difficult to keep up with everything. With 10 laps to go, though, it's Sene from Keithley, Talborg, Johnson, Wiesenmuller, Yeoman and Lintz, and Yeoman, Lintz and Butcher. Yeoman and Lintz are being caught by Chris Butcher. And I think Lintz may have a problem. He's dropping back a little bit.
Yeah, it could well be some contact earlier on, and unfortunate, well, very fortunate for Kenneth Yeoman, he can pull away, but also very unfortunate because he's going to lose a drafting partner. And being 5 seconds away from Robert Wiesenmuller, that's not what he needs right now. And you can say, actually, no, oh my god, no, he's gone up the inside. That's a cheeky nudge as well. Not sure where that's come from. So Marlon Lins just decides that Marlon Lins, beg your pardon, just goes straight up the inside and proves us all wrong. I'm not sure if that was a push to pass though, because that looks extremely quick.
Yeah, it's Yeoman in behind Lintz. These two have been swapping positions for a couple of laps now, and Butcher is definitely gaining on them. So Butcher can see these two in his sights. Look at this from Johnson and Wiesenmuller pushing each other along as well. But pick a winner. I mean, Talborg, Keithley, Sene, any one of them could be a second race victor. I think last time we said it could have been any of the top 3. It was the 4th position man that won, so see what happens. But Tommy Nilsson up into 12th. That's a fairly good haul of points now, and he could actually. My maths isn't very good. I'm sure Ben can work out with a 30-point win in race 1, and say he finishes in 10th, where that would put him in equivalency with Keithley. Talborg is ducking and diving Sorry, Senna is ducking and diving with Keithley. Still, my maths isn't very good. 8 laps left. So plenty of time for that to happen. Look at this from Lintz and Yerman. Oh, so close from Lintz. He's coming into the braking zone looking for a way through. There's no way through there. Yerman shuts the door, but he's drifting wide. Here comes Lintz.
Yeah, Lintz going to have absolutely none of it and try and get past Yerman. Time running out. Still 8 laps to go, but that's not really a lot. When these drivers think about it, and right now Lintz is only trying to think about going to get past Yerman, but right now he seems to be losing time down the straights without that push to pass. So it could well be some damage that needs to get onto the back end again as soon as possible.
Yeah, he's doing the best he can.
Oh,
sideways from Kenneth Yerman. Oh, so close to losing the back end, just kept it gathered up. And that was a great shot from Lintz, wasn't it, on board. Nuno Silva's been in the wall more times than I care to remember on my other screen. But he's still circulating in 9th place. JD Wang in 10th. Tommy Nilsson is in sight of JD Wang and Nuno Silva, but I think that's the best he's going to make it up to 9th. So Ben Davis down in the pit lane. What's the repercussions of that for the championship?
Well, as you said, if Tommy Nilsson could finish 10th and that win, obviously, in race 1, that would put him 4 points ahead of Ivor Calamis in the championship. So it's certainly all to play for. And although he'll be disappointed that he had that contact and is down the field a bit, he'll still be looking good for the championship with taking the fight to Ivor Calamis with him not racing here this week, this event. Just a word on the top 3 position. We've seen, well, I've seen because I'm watching it, Jack Keithley and Sene both using push to passes to overtake each other, which it seems a bit strange thing to do really, but they're using up their push to passes. I mean, it makes a huge amount of effect down that long start-finish straight. But Jesper's just sitting there in double slipstream, and he might have saved more push to passes towards the end of the race.
Go on, Liam.
I was going to say, Nilsson got very, very close indeed there behind Vinicius Ferreira, and had to actually miss-time his corner and correct the slide. He now looks to the inside of him, but he got very, very leery going into turn 3. So going into turn 1, then he's got the inside line. He should really have that sign field delivered, providing he doesn't outbrake himself. Hugs the apex beautifully. And that's just textbook stuff there by Nilsson. Is a top 10 on the cards. He's only 2 seconds away from JJ Wang, so it definitely could be. He's going to need a bit of a push though from Ferreira.
Yeah, Ferreira is not that far behind, but I think he's dropping back too quickly to help Nilsson out here. So Nilsson's got to catch Wang. Just based on pure lap speed, and of course Ferreira won't make this easy for Nilsson. If he stays in the slipstream, then he'll be at least a threat to Nilsson, and Nilsson, after that early incident, lucky to carry on really and not have more damage than he did. Further up at the front, it's still anyone's guess. Jack Keithley now has presumed the lead, Sene in 2nd position, and actually they're dropping him back a little bit. If Keithley could get enough of a gap, then he may run away with this one.
Yeah, it could very well be, if I know. I mean, to be fair, Keithley's driven an exceptional race today. And by luck wasn't on his side during race 1, and he did make an error. He's definitely trying to rectify that. And I don't think there'll be any more man who deserves it better. There's just contact there. And I think that's Kenneth Yerman indeed goes into the wall. Is he going to take it out? Garzieri there goes Butcher through as well. But that's not the way that you want to go. That's Marlos Lindsay got caught up in that as well. We take a look from Lindsay's view. Only a little nudge there, so he should be okay. But looking on, it's not going to help him too much. But I think, if there's one man to break the winning streak of GT Omega, there's no more man that should rightly do it, I don't think, than last year's champion Jack Keithley. Well, and Keithley himself was a former part of GT Omega, so he's obviously inherited some of that speed, perhaps a setup or two from them, although setups here make less of a difference. Keithley now has been relegated to 2nd position, so Sene either used a push to pass or a draft to get by him there. And it's just, I cannot predict a winner out of these 3. And it could be absolutely any of them. Look at this from Talbog's view on board with Talbog. You see Keithley is bump drafting Sene as they head into turn 1. You can go deep into turn 1, but you don't want to be pushing them into turn 1. The rest of the lap is okay until you get to the braking zone for the final corner. That's where you've got to be a bit more careful. Talbog, in sitting pretty actually, I'd rather be in Talbog's position than the front 2. Because I just didn't trust that those front 2 aren't going to make contact and spin each other round. Well, we saw it happen last race, and the inevitable did happen. And right now, as you said, Talbog's playing a safe game. I think a 3rd place would still be a huge game for him. While he would be a championship contender, still enough for him to perhaps maybe scale. Oh, and there goes Nuno Silva into the wall. So the underdog of the day gets a bit sideways coming up turn 2, hits the wall, and there's nothing he can do there except plough into the barrier. and I think that could very well be race over for the Portuguese Nuno Silva. And he's impressed us a lot this weekend, but it just wasn't to be in the end. He'll try and get that repaired, but I don't see it making too much of a help. It's going to maybe just add a little bit.
Clint's in the pit lane as well. I'm not sure why they're repairing damage now when there's 3 laps left, but there we go. Obviously couldn't carry on at all. Let's head towards the front of the field again, because this is going to heat up big time, this battle. I'm just looking forward to this hugely. Ray Lilly up to 13th, by the way. David van der Ven in 14th position, Glenn Kabis in 12th. But they're pretty much the last of our runners. We've got Yunton on the Rato, 3 and 4 laps down. And look at this, Sene and Keithley side by side. And I can't pick a winner. I honestly can't. Butcher's up to 6th after that early tangle with Johnson. And Johnson is winning in that battle between himself and Wieselmuller. But we'll follow the battle for the lead for the remaining couple of laps. And there is just, as they cross the line now, 2 laps remaining. And Tauborg is choosing to push his THR affiliate, THR Purple driver Alexander Sene through. Oh, and Sene! Sene is in the wall! Is he in the wall? I'm not sure. I pressed the wrong button. There he is. He's still in first. And he's just about to survive, but it's shuffled him back. Now Tauborg in prime position. There's just 1 lap remaining, guys. That's, well, 1.5 laps. We've got 6 turns, 2 more on this lap. And it's Tauborg versus Keithley. And who is going to come out on top? Keithley currently in the lead, but is that the right place to be? It's going to be about who drafts who on the final couple of laps. Sene's still there. It could be Sene. And it's all about who has more push to passes, Liam.
It very well could be, but now for Jack Keithley, the hunter becomes the hunted. By Jesper Tolberg, he's primed and ready to strike and launch an all-out assault on trying to take the lead of this race. They're pulling away from Sene. I mean, they may have both used the push to pass there, as they just pull away from Sene at lightning speed, but Sene's still clinging on. Breaks a bit later to try and cling onto him into turn 1. Final lap then, here we go. You say there's going to be 4 more corners to go before we find out who's going to be victorious here in the second round, with certain, surely, it's not going to be another GT Omega, so that streak will end in a couple of corners. But is it going to be Jack Keithley to lead the parade and be the man who carries the torch into the final round? We're about to find out as that precision storms into turn 3. 1 more corner to go then. I think that was Sene trying to go side by side with Jesper Tolberg. We'll see. Oh, he's got it done to Sene.
Sene through.
Close in the background, but I mean, he may have come out a bit deep there, and he's somehow on his side by side to the end. It's going to be close between those. It's a drag race now to the start-finish line, and Tolberg's run out of fuel, I think.
He's out of fuel. Tolberg's out of fuel. Jack Keithley's going to win. Jack Keithley crosses the line, takes the win from Alexander Sene, and Tolberg's out. Out of fuel, is he?
Here comes James Johnson. And
James Johnson through. Wieselmuller through. Is Tauborg speeding up? Was he just letting them through? No, Butcher coming through. Butcher takes 5th.
Oh, he's just going to be absolutely destroyed. He's going to roll to the line. And what's he
Look
done
at that.
No, up again.
He was letting all of those THR guys through. And Tauborg dropping from 2nd position through to 6th to let Butcher through after Jesper's miserable first race, I guess. Marlon Lintz 7th. Nielsen took 8th position from Kenneth Yerman on the last lap. How did that happen? I have no idea. Vinicius Pereira in 10th. Glenn Kabis in 11th. Ray Lilly coming through in 12th position, or maybe 13th. No, 12th for Ray Lilly. 13th for Van der Ven. 14th position is going to go to David Yunt. Potentially. I'm not sure if we've got anyone else left on the lead lap, to be honest with you.
Well,
but a great fight. Great fight of the battle at the front there, Liam.
Absolutely incredible, and that's the best way to kind of end a race, I think. That one went out in style. Unfortunately for Tolberg, it wasn't the style he wanted to exit the race in, but for Jack Keithley, the man who has finally been anticipating it all season, who's going to be the man to end the 100% win streak of GT Amiga, and it was Jack Keithley, and he certainly deserved it, and he almost got it taken away from Alexander Sene in the last couple of laps, but a mistake from Sene, and Keithley's cunningness managed to win him that one. Wieselmuller 4th, Butcher got a top 5, Marlon Lintz, that's an exceptional result for him. Kenneth Yerman in 9th, Vinicius Ferreira getting a top 10, he's going to be ecstatic with that one.
Just, I can't believe how few runners there were at the end. I mean, well, I can believe it, obviously, after the first race. But, I mean, JJ Wang had a suspension failure on the, well, had an incident with the wall at the very least. Then Ocker Clint was 15th, 16th went to Yunt, Honorato 17th, and he was the final runner. Nuno Silva then crashed out 5 laps from the end with a DNF. He was 18th and just classified. And everyone else beyond that was a DNF. So Enderman fought Nascimento, of course, in style from the lead. Van der Velde, Sergio Junior, Dino Paolini, all of these guys, unbelievable, really. And well, we're going to be back after a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we've got a lot of people to talk to and a lot of people to tell off, I think, probably. So, 2 exciting oval races and some fair amount of interesting contact going on and a fair amount of interesting behaviour from 1 or 2 drivers. There was, of course, 1 or 2 incidents as well, and it's very difficult to attribute blame, of course, without seeing it in the future, but we have got a few drivers in for an interview, and I want to start with race 2 winner Jack Keithley. Let's hope he can have a word with us. Last time I tried to speak with him was after he won season 1, and it was a bit of a lag between us. So, Jack, you must be pretty impressed to have come back into the series and won a race, but and also sort of breaking the GT Amiga hold on the championship, and done in style on the last few laps in race 2.
Oh, well, race 2, what can I say? I mean, pretty much from the start, it just became, well, I was struggling to keep up with the front 2 THR pink cars, and I was thinking at that point to use my boost just before they wrecked, and then when I saw them wreck, I was a bit, oh, okay then. And then it just became about between me, Jesper, and Alexander, and, you know, it was a pretty good fight. You know, there's no telling at all at the start of last lap who was going to win. I was just praying that, you know, we'd all end up in one piece, and thankfully we did, and got a good result.
Awesome. So obviously you kind of went from an all-time low to an all-time high, but just talk us off, like, kind of, what were your impressions after the first race? Did you really expect to come out and win the second after the kind of catastrophe that happened?
Well, after race 1, I was a bit beep. I was not really happy with myself at all, and I just wanted to get race 2 over and done with, because I felt pretty damn bad for taking out James, you know. And massive bad luck to Chris and James throughout both races. I mean, they both qualified basically near me and had the same pace as me pretty much, and to see them both have not very good races, it's a bit, you know, bit of a downer, but oh well.
Well done, Jack. It's great to come back and take a win, though, in the WSS, and obviously not your first in the series, but the first in this season. So congratulations for that. Tommy Nilsson I want to talk to next, because Tommy, after those 2 results, you go 7 points ahead of Jack Keithley. Sorry, not Jack Keithley, of your teammate Ivar Kalamies in the championship. And I know Calamies isn't here because of no wheel, but you've taken advantage best you can, and a victory in race one must be relatively happy with that at the very least.
Yeah, I'm very happy about the win, and I got there were three guys, Jack and James Johnson, I think, and we just pulled off. And from there on, it was just about staying in third, because I knew they wouldn't let me go first or second. So, but in 72, I think, no, 22. In the 22 lap, they collided because James Johnson touched Jack Keithley. I think that's the reason why. And Jack Keithley got a little bit slide, and I just tried to avoid that. And but I'm very happy about the win because it's an oval, and it was like 6 THR guys ahead of me, and I know they would teamwork in the race. So I was like, yeah, if I get 5th, I will get very happy.
And of course, being 7 points ahead heading into the final round, that means that even if Ivar wins the race, if you finish 3rd or better, so you've got to finish 2nd or 3rd, then you'll be champion. So, I mean, 3rd place if Ivar wins, is that doable? I mean, if he wins and you finish 4th, then he's champion. It's that close.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna have to wait and see, but I got a new wheel now, and I think that in this game stock, I feel like I'm a little bit faster than him. But then if we drive in Velo Park, I really hated that track, then he would be faster. So we just have to wait for what track it is and see who's the fastest. But I think I got the edge over him right now, but it's just in this game, not in Formula Sim Racing.
Yeah, I mean, the next round is at Sebring, so it'll be a 45-minute race rather than 2 sort of 25-minute races. So it's a bit of a different format. So thank you for talking to us, Tommy. I mean, I want to talk to Chris Butcher because qualifying extraordinary, race 1 average until you came through the pack. And then race 2, I mean, it was all sort of up and down for you, Chris, and obviously James didn't exactly help in race 2.
Yeah. Well, I hardly want to call race 1 average, to be honest, because I didn't really get a chance to show my true pace. But I'm feeling pretty dejected at the moment because apart from running into the back of Kevin, you know, I drove faultlessly. Obviously took both pole positions. And you know, I got the jump on the field at the start of race 2, and then lap 2 my race finished basically.
Of course, you fought back to 2nd place in race 1, which we've seen you fight back through the field before in the WSS of this season, and most notably last time out of Santa Cruz after dropping back because of the incident with Calamies. But I mean, are you hoping for better at Sebring, or do you think this is just sort of one of those tracks, being an oval track, it throws up a bit of random results?
I don't know. Since I got my new wheel, I've been a lot more on the pace, obviously back at Santa Cruz. So I'm hoping I can carry that on to Sebring. I was really hoping, actually, with the pace that I've shown at the oval, that I'd be the guy to break the GT Omega stranglehold, but unfortunately that wasn't with me this time. But well done to Jack for that, and I just want to apologise to Kevin again. I mean, I had a private word with him, but I sort of lost all motivation for the race, and I just wasn't concentrating down the straight and missed my braking point completely.
Yeah, that's what it looked like on the broadcast, actually. I mean, Kevin, do you have anything sort of? I mean, is that a pretty fair summary?
Yeah, like Chris told, we talked together, so it happened. You can't change it. It's fine for me. Like, not that he took me out, but you know, that's racing. It happens. So, and it somehow summarized my whole season and the whole weekend. You know, Toby. You know how the whole start of the weekend. So you can't change it. So just move on and look for tomorrow.
Yeah, there's obviously It's been a sort of up and down season for you, Kevin, so far. I mean, you've had 1 or 2 good results, but obviously I suspect you were hoping for a little bit better, maybe at an oval track like this. But I mean, Mike Bell being your teammate, were you planning any kind of sort of partnering up before the race?
We were trying to, but we never got a chance. Not even in qualifying. One of us got loose, or and then you got that 1-2 seconds again, so you're like screwed up again. So both times we had to actually go for a lone run, and it worked out in the second one for both of us pretty well. And in the second race, when we started together, like Mike got taken out in the first corner, and from there on, I just had that awesome fight with Thomas at the beginning.
Yeah, that was a pretty good fight with Thomas. I think it was sort of nip and tuck between you two all the way to the end, and it's a shame that Chris Butcher, I know he's apologised to you and so on, but obviously be interesting to see exactly what happens in the future. Anyway, Liam, I think you've got hold of James Johnson down in pit lane.
Yeah, so James, obviously a very, very weekend for you as well, and the second race didn't quite go to plan, so just explain what happened there with your teammate Chris Butcher.
I was going down the straight with, in the tow with Chris and Jesper and that. And then I braked a little bit early because I didn't want to run into the back of Chris, and then Jesper just ran into the back of me because I don't think he realised that I was going to brake a bit earlier. So then I just went sideways and I had no control, and then somehow I went into Chris. I guess I T-boned him somehow.
Ouch, so I guess emotions are running kind of high in the THR booth then, or?
Not really, it's just one of those things really. There was just no luck going on for me, or Chris, or, I don't know, not many of us had luck today.
Alright, so I mean, obviously, kind of race 1 again, a bit of an unfortunate result for you, but could you take any positives from this heading into the final round?
Yeah, as fast at ovals, I guess.
Yeah, it won't really help you at Sebring. It's lots of straights and corners. So obviously, James, you had a great battle with Robert Biesemler, and that was in race 2. And Robert, I mean, battling with someone who you know and who's your teammate, it's a little bit different to battling with someone who isn't your teammate. I mean, does it change anything?
Well, I think in the second race, James and I were not really battling. We were rather working together to catch up for the leaders. And we just battled in the last laps, and I was careful, especially after the first race when I made a massive mistake and took out Chris and in the process also Jesper. So I was a bit warned now that I need to be more careful.
Yeah, you say that, Rob. I mean, you seem to be a bit involved with a couple of incidents in the start of race 2. Was that? I don't want to certainly portion blame, but you've made a couple of bits of contact. I mean, give us your thoughts on that. Were you a bit overeager, or were other people too overeager?
What happened at the second race? Were 2 different incidents. One with Damien Henderson and the other one with Tommy Nilsson. An incident with Henderson. I was coming out of the first corner and I got a better run than him, and we were all still in the pack. And I was catching up and I was trying to go on the inside on this first little kink. It was giving me just enough room to fit alongside him, and then he didn't drive all to the side, to the wall after the kink, but he just turned in on me. So I had really no chance to avoid him. And when I see him posting in the forum that he wants to see me banned from the race, I think it's really ridiculous. The other incident with Tommy Nilsson, what happened was I was in push to pass on the straight. I pulled out of the group. I was bump drafting with Tommy. I pulled out a little bit, and then just afterwards, Tommy also pulled out. It was really unfortunate that I touched him there, but we've spoken about it, and I think it's probably 50-50.
Okay, fair enough. I'm certainly sorry to hear that. I mean, it's certainly something that the TPS staff will be looking into. Yeah, I mean, we try and avoid people voicing their opinions on other drivers on the forum and on here. You know, we like to be a pretty friendly community, so I'm sure the TPS staff and Toby will sort that one out. But yeah, you're qualifying. Did you get into the swing of things in qualifying with all the other THR guys? It seemed to me you sort of weren't in the right place at the right time. Is that roughly correct?
Yeah, in the first race we were working together really well, THR guys and also Jack. And I think I came to 3rd place on the grid. It was really nice, and in the second qualifying it wasn't working so well, at least not for me, but luckily enough for the other guys, so I think it's okay as well.
Okay, well, I mean, thanks for talking to us, Robert. We'll endeavour to see if we can sort out one or two incidents, and if anyone, this is a shout out to anyone who's still watching the broadcast. If you've got something to say, best said via PM to a driver, or reporting an incident to myself. It's not best posting it publicly on a forum. So anyway, moving on. We've finally got Jonathan Ockerclint. I want to have a quick word with Jonathan. He's obviously. We saw you retiring from race 1. I mean, what happened there?
I was following Mike Bell, who was 1 or 2 laps behind me, trying to get the draft, and I went off out of turn 1, and he was rejoining, and I thought he was going for the mid of the track because that was where he was, but he decided to go for the inside where I was already heading, and I didn't have time to react and hit him, fortunately. But we've spoken about it, and I think we're both sorry about it, so yeah.
So Liam, I mean, give us a quick sort of. I mean, what do you think sort of we can take from today's races?
Oh, well, I think you can take a lot. I think that, as we said before the race, a lot of drivers showed a different side, and we saw a really different shape midfield today. And that's what we predicted, that the guys who weren't necessarily aiming for a win, or the guys who needed the championship points, wouldn't get 100% because of just the nature of the track and practicing, that sort of thing. I think that it's going to be very interesting heading into the final round, especially the battle between Nilsson and Ivar Kalamis, the 2 teammates. And seeing those 2 kind of jumping in hammer and tong to take the championship, I don't think we could have asked for a closer championship finish. Not only is it between 2 rivals, it's between 2 teammates.
Yep, thank you very much. And I mean, there's no pressure on the GT Amiga guys at Sebring at all because they've obviously won the team championship already. So you know they're going to be fighting at it hammer and tong, and of course because they're a team separate to all the other guys, there's no like drivers who are going to be helping each other drivers. It's just going to be every man for himself. And I think we're in for a fascinating race in store, hopefully with a few fewer incidents than we saw today.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if there's any broadcast issues here. Hang on a sec. As I think as well, just heading into the next round of the championships, we said it is a finale. You can catch that live here on TouringProSeries.com/broadcast. And I think as well that, heading into it, this is not going to be just a friendly battle between teammates. This is going to be an all-out war, I think, in terms of the championship. This is not just a race win on the line. This isn't kind of being the dominant driver or who can do this or that. This is a championship. I mean, as you say, Calamis has won the majority of this race, but unfortunately, it's not going to be the way. He's not going to win the entire championship now. He's got to fight for it. He's not going to have his way just running away with it. Nilsson's going to be hot on his tail, providing such immense pressure, and this is going to be a very interesting battle into the end, and I'm sure we're going to see a very intensified fight for the championship, as opposed to we've seen them in the past. We've seen a couple cheeky manoeuvres between the 2 of them, but this is going to be an all-out race to the end between 2 giants here in the Touring Pro Series.
It certainly is. I apologise to everyone then. I accidentally muted my microphone and didn't realise, so apologies for the gaps in the sound. But I mean, thank you very much for joining me, Liam, and Ben, of course, yourself as well. And of course, 2 weeks' time we have Sebring, of course, and of course we've got the Clio starting up as well. I'll just bring that calendar up for you once again. That's starting next Wednesday, and later on in the month, of course, we have the first round of the WTM at Spa-Francorchamps. I nearly forgot then, which starts on the 26th of September. So those two coming up as well. But this has been the 5th round of the World Supertech Series. We're looking for an interesting battle coming into the final round at Sebring. And join myself, Toby Davis, Liam Jenkins and Ben Davis for that. And we'll see you then. But until then, thanks for watching.